Here's the thing about lifelong friendships. They can survive careers, marriages, kids, but can they survive a girl's weekend away? Find out in Spa Weekend, starring Leslie Mann, Isla Fisher, Michelle Buteau, and Anna Faris as 4 friends who escape to a luxury resort for some much-needed relaxation, where they embrace a little freedom, meet a few hot men, and make a few bad decisions. From the directors of Bad Moms and the writers of Hangover, Spa Weekend is a hilarious comedy about friendship, self-care, and the getaways that don't go as planned. Well, I was lucky enough to get a screener of this amazing movie. Nally and I absolutely loved it. It's funny, hilarious. It's exactly what you and your friends need for a fun, laugh-out-loud movie. Go check it out. You'll love it. Book an escape and treat yourself to Spa Weekend, only in theaters August 21st. Make sure to bring your BFFs. One of the hardest parts of parenting is figuring out how much independence to give your kids. Money is a big part of that conversation. Built for parents and teens, Cash App allows teens ages 13 through 17 to have a Cash App card through sponsorship by an eligible parent or guardian, giving them more independence while parents stay involved. Every transaction triggers a real-time notification to parents, and parents can manage everything directly from their own Cash App account without switching between accounts. There are no monthly fees, no minimum balance requirements, and no hidden charges for sending or receiving money. Parents can also lock their teen's card instantly if it ever gets lost. And both parents and teen balances receive 24/7 fraud monitoring. Cash App helps teens develop real-world finance habits with tools designed perfectly for them. Being financially literate and responsible is something that's really important for Natalie and I to make sure our daughters understand. And Cash App is making it easier than ever for parents to help their kids learn that financial literacy. New Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code FAMILY10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply.
You're crazy.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Viall Files. I'm your host, Nick, joined by the household. We got Sierra, Susie, Mary, Bailey, Justin are all in the room. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
I got so much to talk about, so much on my mind. We do have a jam-packed episode for you. We dove into Married at First Sight, the Love Island show that we all watched, stopped, and then Peacock was like, here's something else you might be interested in. And boy, are we. I know we've been late to the Married at First Sight hype. What a fun. Wait, there's 90 Day Fiance and then there's Married at First Sight, right?
Oh, and I'm a huge 90 Day Fiance.
What is that? And give me the biggest difference between the two.
Like a couple that goes on a K-1 visa, one person's coming from a different country to get married within 90 days, but it's like
is it always a different country?
It's always, yeah. Like it's like either 90 Day Fiance is usually them coming to America. Then you have the other way, which is somebody from America going to live in their country. It's just
that is a big part of the show.
It's the main part
premise.
of the show.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we follow these couples. Some of these couples have been on the show for years, and there's so many spin-offs. So it's just like how they've assimilated to life, them having children, like
they follow them.
There's like after the first 90 days, there's
a lot of spin-offs, and it's just like really interesting to see how couples assimilate.
Have we been
from
sleeping on
backgrounds.
that?
I think so. I've been campaigning for that for years. There are some
not loud enough.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sierra talks to me about 90 Day Fiance. Sometimes I feel like I've seen it.
Anyway, Married at First Sight, a show where people just like episode 1, get married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like married.
It feels like less of a hate watch. Like, you know how you're watching shows and you're just like so angry at the couples because you're like, this is so toxic. Mm-hmm. Like right now, we're 4 episodes in, 5 episodes in, and I'm like, oh, this could work.
Well,
I'm
This
like,
is the first
wait.
time I have, this show weirdly is like, I think it's because you see the matchmaking process.
Yes.
Like I can suspend my disbelief a little bit more, where I would normally be a lot more judgmental in a Love is Blind situation.
Well, Dr. Lisa, one of the experts on Married at First Sight, it joins us, and we get to talk with her about the whole show, the premise, and that will be later this episode. I think you all will really enjoy that conversation with Dr. Lisa. We also have Dr. Pamela Baker. It's a full-on doctor expert relationship show this episode. We were talking about In the City, the reunion. Mm-hmm. We were talking about Kyle and Amanda's marriage or lack thereof and their lack of intimacy. And what was I saying? I was saying some shit.
I think
I had a take.
you were talking about sex.
You were talking
and them
about
not having sex.
Yeah. Was Amanda holding out? Was that causing distress in the marriage?
Was
and
it
then
love languages.
And then
we were making a bunch of theories and guesses
Yeah.
and had takes on what led to this fallout between Amanda and Kyle. And then we were like, I don't know if there's an expert listening. Chime in the comments.
Give us a call.
Help us out.
Dr. Baker, she raised her hand. And so she will be joining us shortly to give an expert opinion
We
Okay.
love volunteers.
on Kyle and Amanda's relationship and what might we be able to learn from these crazy kids on reality TV. And hopefully Dr. Baker can guide us through, because that's what we really want to do
Yeah.
on this show is if have some fun and maybe learn a little bit
Yeah.
along the way. Over the weekend, I'm obsessed with this trad wife conversation.
I was hoping you were going to bring that up because I had a question about it.
Last week, Nara Smith went on Call Her Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I knew who Nara Smith was. I'm more familiar with her husband, Lucky Blue. Is it Lucky Blue? Lucky. Early in my Bachelor reality TV days, I met a person who I think worked with him, and she made me but he's how Bryce male model for Calvin Klein. And that's a big deal. But Lucky Blue he's the Zoolander. He is
Zoolander IRL.
I'm not speaking to the caricature that is Zoolander,
Just famous model.
but literally the supermodel. He is massive. I just know that about him. Anyways, they're married. Nara is also a model, very successful model, and her and Lucky have a family together. I kind of knew all this just from afar. I don't follow her, but apparently she went on Call Her Daddy, and the whole conversation about trad wife came up. She likes to make pies and food. It's for her family. It sounds like also her family has gone through some tragedy. She has some autoimmune stuff. That's why but either way, she likes to cook.
Have you never
from
seen one of her
scratch.
videos?
I think I've seen.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
They're
I think I've seen them. I haven't really studied them. It sounds like it also appears that she also likes sundresses.
Yeah. And
Or she's aesthetically pleasing.
She's
or
wearing
whatever.
Schiaparelli.
I was gonna say
couture gowns in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
I only
Beautiful
became I
gowns.
only became aware of the trad wife kind of moniker when we had a guest come on, a comedian. I think she was trying to tease me, but she was like, "Oh, you look like a guy who'd want a trad wife or something," and which I thought was ironic since my wife was literally here at work with me. But the point is, it seems like my understanding of trad wife, it's meant to be, it's a divisive term these days. And I'm no expert. So I know for anyone but that this Nara Smith conversation went off the rails on the internet, and it makes no sense to me. And so first it seems like you have a group of people who identify as trad wives. They're like, I'm a trad wife. And apparently they're like, I guess it's very, traditional. Their whole shtick is I'm gonna do all the traditional. I'm gonna cook, clean, all the things
Free Van de Kamp from Desperate Housewives.
Yeah.
Free Van de Kamp from Desperate.
I'm gonna lean into the
exactly.
very old traditional ways of
Making
this is the type of-
ossobuco starting in the morning for dinner.
And I imagine some of these trad wives are aspiring trad wives, and actual people who are claiming to be they have husbands. They're actual wives.
Well, you can't be single and be a trad wife.
Can't you be
a
an
wife.
aspiring trad wife? Can't you be like
trad wife in the making.
Yeah, what
hey,
happened?
I
Trad girlfriend, I
make
guess.
pies and I wear can't you?
Well, at that point,
are
Nick,
there
you just
no
open a bakery.
Yeah, I'm like, what is the
are there
what is
no
the trad
influencers
wife?
out there being like, hey,
think
trad
there's-
wife here?
I think the difference between being a food influencer and being a trad wife is truly a marriage certificate.
Yeah, and are we making food for our
Well,
family, or are
at a
we
certain
making
point,
cute little
yeah.
recipes for you to try at home, even for one?
Yeah.
What was so fascinating about the Nara Smith conversation is that she went on Call Her Daddy and she was like, yo, I just like doing this stuff. My life happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an influencer and I'm providing for my family. And what's so fascinating, what I thought was fascinating about this, our culture, is this everyone labeled her. And she basically came on this podcast and was like, stop labeling me. I'm just I'm just here living my life. We get so obsessed with labels.
Yeah.
And then and I think for so many people, it means a lot of things. But I just find first of all, if for the actual trad wives, the people who are like, hey, I'm a trad wife, and they're online and they're influencing, the irony about that is they're making money and they're providing
they're not trad
and they're
wives.
providing for their family,
Yeah.
and it's just well, huh?
I think also it's important to acknowledge, I'm going to say right now, I don't know the origin of the
Yeah, I don't-
tradition. I want to be upfront that I don't have enough context of the conversation to form an opinion that's so headstrong one way or the other. But I think that the whole conversation in itself is if you're making millions of dollars online, posting content like that, you really aren't a trad wife.
What does that even mean,
Well-
trad wife?
well, maybe-
Traditional wife.
Well,
I
maybe
know, I
you are a trad wife, but
understand.
I mean, but it's more so like, is there a moral obligation to disclose like to people who are unaware of the industry and the amount of money people are making, like who look up to these people and aspire to have this same lifestyle? It's like, okay, if you want to, I don't know. I don't know
But
if
you
there's a
look at
moral
Nara
obligation
Smith, and
to
there's so much
disclose
of her
that.
life is unique. You know, like she is literally
Yeah.
an incredibly successful model with an incredibly successful
Career
husband.
outside of this.
It just she has a unique life, as we all do. I think what I find so fascinating about the tri-wife conversation is like how online it is and how
Oh, yeah.
impractical in reality. I think it's such an example of just how much online discourse and how online
Yeah.
like lifestyles don't reflect
Well, it's
reality.
not real. Well, my
It's
mom.
not.
in
the
any
biggest,
way.
The funny thing is, so I talk to my mom almost like every day when I'm driving home, and it's funny. Girly is not online. Girly hates the internet. She is like anti-social media, so it's really funny that I do this for a living because she's always like, "All right." She'll watch the show sometimes, and she's like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about," but she, is supportive. But it's really funny because sometimes I'll bring up stuff to her that we talk about in the show, and she'll get so mad at me, and she'll be like, "That's so stupid. That is not real life." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, one, like,
And I think
it
that's
is-
why-
like there's an entire environment of online stuff that like people talk about. and
But
care
that's
about,
why
but
I'm
it
so
exists
fascinated
online.
about this particular
Yeah.
conversation, because the more I learn about it, the more like it's just not real life in
No.
the sense, because no doubt there is a spectrum of the way people of relationships, how like the roles we all play in relationships, same-sex marriages, like men and women relationships, and like you just like, I don't know, you have different roles, and then you have unfound expectations about the things you're looking for, and then you get together with them, and often you realize that oh, you said you were one way, and turns out you're another way, and then there's that whole negotiated. And some people like you opt out of relationships, they get divorced and things like that. But it's just more like, no doubt, I am sure there's some highly traditional people out there that are really rigid in their expectations, and there's like real, misogynistic men who are like demand certain types of things versus like, or more traditional women who, but I think in reality, especially when it comes to like parenting, where it's just like, I don't know, you just in 2026, I mean, it's more common than not to require a 2-income household, or just to like have to just
to be able to like afford
to have to
a kid,
afford life. And even if you're lucky enough to not, there's just so many responsibilities to make a house work. And if you have kids, and even if you're lucky enough to have help when it comes to parenting, it's still a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I just find it to be so funny, the conversation, because in reality, I just think most people just have to like do what it takes to make a relationship work.
When I think of Tradwife, I think of Mad Men, and I think of like that lifestyle.
A TV show.
Like a 60s, I think of like Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
I think of
Like
like
dinner at
19
home
the
on the
American
table.
Dream.
Yeah.
Brie Vandekamp is a perfect example. Like I think Tradwife, the actual Tradwife is probably, well, she's probably responding online, but she's not posting necessarily. She's not making money
She
necessarily.
lives in Nantucket and has an amazing hydrangea.
Yeah,
which
like
is
the
like,
actual. It's just really funny because it's like
But the
I think
people
it's traditional feminine. It's people wanting to be like in a traditional feminine role, and
I guess
yeah,
it's
I
the
think it's
role
like,
part that
if
I
you
don't.
want it, sure. I think it's like if you want to do that, period. Do whatever the fuck you want.
I think
if you
it's
don't, then don't do it.
The
That's
role
how I
part
feel.
that I'm a
Okay.
little confused by,
whatever.
because it's just more like you could be a guy, a single guy, and be like, you know what, someday I hope my wife makes me sandwiches for lunch. I mean, that could be a goal, but then you might meet someone, you might say something as crazy like, yeah, I just want you to make me sandwiches. And then you get married, and at some point you'll be like, make your own fucking sandwich. I don't fucking, you know what I'm saying? At some point life shows up and problems happen. And as a couple, whether you decide to have kids or not have kids or whatever, like you just have to figure it out. And I just find it just like, in reality, I think most relationships and most couples aren't like, even if that was a goal, it's not reality. It's just the way that people are obsessed with this
Yeah.
title and these, and I guess, and can't a progressive modern person, woman or whatever, still enjoy making pies or doing some more, say, traditional things, and still be consider themselves modern or progressive in other aspects of their life. And
I think they
the
can
way,
and should.
I have like a fantasy where I'm just chefing it up for a beautiful woman. I don't think that makes me a trat wife.
but that's what I'm
I
saying.
think
But
that makes me
that's what
gay.
that in our internet culture, we want to label everyone. We just want to put everyone in these buckets. It's just like people want to
Also-
look at Nara Smith and look at her videos, and they want to make a bunch of assumptions about who she is as a person, how she raises her kids, her her belief system, her worldviews, or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe she just likes.
I think it's just
Making
performative
comments.
outrage, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, I think we live in a world where anybody can pull out a camera at any point, whether it's the highest of quality of content, whether it's from my car, selfie style, going on a rant. And we have so many options nowadays to continue to scroll. This doesn't work for me, but instead, I guess it gives a little dopamine hit or something to leave a snarky comment or say you're doing something wrong or have some sort of big feelings about it when it really doesn't affect your day. If a girl wants to fucking make a piece of bread or gluten-free whatever and is telling you every organic ingredient she's going to put in it dressed nicely, why does that bother you so bad?
Right.
Do you guys
Also,
think that
it's satire. Like
Their whole thing is satire.
I feel like that's
But people
the-
are so earnest.
That's-
So
but
they
I
take-
know.
So ready to get upset.
Yeah, and I think that's what's frustrating as somebody that does content. I'm like, sometimes I think it would be easier and maybe better for my mental health to take on a persona and be like, you know what, I'm just going to pretend to show up as
Mr.
this
Fantasy.
thing. Literally, my dream. Oh my God, my dream. But like something like that where you're like, this actually removes me from the equation. So any projection you put on me like actually has nothing to do with me. But then obviously authenticity wins in the sense of like
I've thought about that
community.
too, yeah.
But I do look at what she does and I'm like, if you don't see what she's doing as satire, then I'm like, you're kind of missing the point. Like she's in a couture gown in her kitchen as if that would be a
and
trad
maybe
wife.
she dresses like that when she's not filming content, but she also maybe does it also in sweatpants sometimes.
Yeah.
And when she's making content, maybe she dresses up.
But
Like-
is that what they said?
She's making something. She's like creating.
Yeah.
But I think that's like what
And
people were
working.
upset about in the interview is that she like was like, that's not me every day. And it's just kind of like, well, no shit.
Yeah.
I just think it's just crazy to think that like somebody is constantly pulling out a phone and recording every like moment of their life. You only see her making random dishes.
Yeah.
And she loves the extravagance of it. My kid wanted Lucky Charms. So this morning I pulled out, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's a whole system that is just silly, but like she does end up making quality, amazing things.
I think it's because we're so obsessed with labels in our. I mean, another thing, part of that conversation, I was kind of made aware of, like Alex Cooper, obviously host of Call Her Daddy, very famous, very successful person, recently announced that she was pregnant, and turns out I didn't realize this because I'm not like following her audience that closely, but
people were pissed.
people were pissed.
What the F?
It was crazy, and it was like,
Yeah.
and it was like apparently, and then there's like accusations on like grifter accusations, like even with like
Yeah.
Nara Smith. Oh, you are presenting one way, but you're not like you're.
People need to understand what a grifter actually is.
And duality.
But it's just more
Duality.
like what makes Alex Cooper so fascinating, I think, and hyper successful is how she's evolved as a person.
Yeah.
This was a woman who in her early 20s created this massive popular podcast that at the time in her life was she was this single, independent young woman who empowered other young women to feel good about
Talking about sex.
or God forbid participating in hookup culture without the shame that often comes with it. And she made a lot of young women feel good about that. Well, Alex Cooper got older, you know, and then her show evolved. Her show has evolved with her, which I think from a business standpoint, I find to be incredibly impressive and cool, and just most people aren't able to pivot the way Alex Cooper has in life. And then she got into a relationship, and then she, you know, and I don't like, again, follow her that closely. I've seen a couple interviews of Alex Cooper being like, I don't know, I'm not ready to have kids yet, you know? Okay, cool. But she never said, I don't want to have kids. But it turns out, it seemed like a lot of people who follow Alex Cooper, like put this label on her as if that, like, if you want to talk about sex and women empowerment, then that means you have to like subscribe to this very specific lifestyle. And I guess for some people that meant you can't have kids. And I guess if she decided to have kids, they accused her of like falsely representing some kind of, I don't know, specific lifestyle. And it was like, wait, what? Huh? Can't people evolve? Can't she be a young 20-something year old person who at that time of her life wants different things for herself? And then as she gets older, her opinions change, her decisions change. And now she's going to be a mom who that will continue to evolve.
Or
and
they
the way
never
people are so
changed.
mad at her for like just her evolving as a person is crazy. It's
I
just the
think-
labels we put on each other.
And I think it's possible that she never did change. Like that, maybe she always knew she wanted children, but maybe she didn't talk about it because she was focused on her career, her guests, the people on her podcast. Like, I think it's possible that she's wanted that and knew that was probably in her future.
Yeah.
But it reminds me also of Hannah Berner. And then I'm going to mess with last name because I've never said it out loud. Drew
Afolo.
I've never said her last name out loud, but two like hysterical, funny queens who just like they talk some mad shit on men, and I love it. And they have the funniest clips out there, and they're two of the funniest like comedic women I think that I follow. But they both have loving husbands, and they've both talked about how people will literally go off on them and be like, "Oh, you talk this big game, but then you both are, or not both, but like you are married," and they both are like, "Yeah, well, like." I love my husband. And
that doesn't mean I love yours.
That doesn't mean I love yours.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about these POS men who are treating all these people like X, Y, and Z, but they're like, but I love my man, and I love that and I respect that. But it's like you said, the duality of like being human, but people like to put
it's also
people in boxes.
Yeah. Also, it happens on the gay internet all the time. It'll basically be like, for example, let's say God for a woman is bisexual publicly. Oh my God! If she from like my side of the internet, if she dates a man, one, it's like kind of funny, but like
At least she's a traitor.
well, that's how it's like some parts of like
I see that a lot.
It'll be like, oh my God, like truly when Phoebe Bridgers, Paul Mescal got an excuse because he's hot, and then to like lesbians, when Phoebe Bridgers started dating Bo Burnham, it truly was like a very dramatic thing happening within like the gay internet, and it's because it's like I think it's less of. It's not actually about any of these people. It's like, it's our obsession with categories. Because it's like, when something's on your page, in your feed, it's for you. And then you know what category it's in. And you kind of develop this ownership and this parasocial relationship with people.
That part.
And then they don't give you what you want. And you're like, what the fuck? I went to, let's say, like Phoebe Bridgers for my gay yearning.
But
and now she's
I'm
not.
gonna go ahead and
like,
guess that
even though she still is, it's like, it's not for me. It's
But
about
I'm gonna go ahead and guess Nara
Nara
Smith is
Smith.
never. Maybe she's hashtag tradwife. I don't know. Maybe she thought that would help the algorithm. I don't know. But I'm gonna go ahead and guess she wasn't like, this is the only way.
no.
Like you have to do this, and if you don't, you're bad. Or like I think she just was like doing things she loves.
Yeah.
And she made it really aesthetically pleasing for some people. It's not for everyone. You know what they need? A not for you page. If you find anything about this video triggering or upsetting to you, it's not. I guess it's not
just
for
not
you.
for you.
Go back to the safe place, the For You page.
Yeah,
But it's also
but
it's
you
so
should
easy to
explore
just go,
your not for you sometimes.
Yeah.
You should like maybe you should have a not for you page to diversify the things we're watching online. People get into these pigeonholes.
But I just
and
find it fascinating.
also-
These creators have to fight so hard to defend things they never actually speak on or really lean into, but they will say one thing, and the way people just throw on all these meanings and labels behind them, or as if it means something.
Like, even if you do lean into it like Nara did, I'm just like, it's a bit.
Yeah.
And that is what the
Yeah.
internet should be used for.
Silly bits.
And especially if you are a creator, you realize that when something hits and does well, I'm going to make another one
Repeat
and
it.
see how that goes. Oh,
Yeah.
and this does well. Now it's become a persona. Let somebody have that. I don't understand the need to, and where I'm like, by all means, don't like it. You don't have to. Keep scrolling.
Literally, it's never been easier to ignore someone. Also,
You would think, but I think it's
I mean,
hard
like
for
as far as
people.
as far as like let's say you don't like Nara Smith, block her.
But even if you don't like narcissists, even if
Like,
you,
I
if you
don't
don't
know.
like the idea of trad wives, like, okay,
Block word trad wife on your phone.
there you go. Like, I'm just like, I have a friend who's a creator as well. And it's just like, she's like, anytime if I do a baking video, because it's not her consistent content, but she's a pretty girl and she dresses nice no matter what. But it's like the second she does like cooking content or something, people are like, oh, you're a trad wife. Oh, you're giving into, and it's just like, so somebody can't enjoy cooking as well as fashion and beauty
guys,
and
it's
all
also-
other aspects of, I don't know what I like as a woman.
Yeah, it's also just like I think we've gone like completely full circle at times.
I want to become a trad life
I'm
influencer.
making bread. I made bread for the first time.
you?
Am I now a trad
Yeah.
wife? 'Cause
Oh
I'm
my
engaged?
god, you guys! I cut up sausages
every
and put
day.
it in my Trader Joe's pasta
I clean
last
the
night.
kitchen.
Am I a chef? Am I a trad wife?
I got into sourdough like several months ago, and I was so excited. I baked the most beautiful loaf of sourdough bread,
Hot.
and I made a video, and I like opened it, and it like had steam. It was so good. And literally that day when I was gonna post it, like this huge trad wife discussion came up about sourdough baking.
And you're like, oh no.
I was like, I can't post it. It's sitting.
Like,
It is literally sitting in my
crazy.
drafts because I was like, it's like the worst timing to post my sourdough bread, but it was so good.
It's also like
The fact that
forgive
sourdough's become triggering
I know.
online.
like forgive me for being in my 20s during the pandemic.
Also, it's like sometimes you want a carb without like all that other stuff.
I wouldn't even know what to do if Natalie offered to make me a sandwich. First of all, I would probably decline. And you know
in the
what?
nicest way possible.
Would you be scared?
The truth is, like, I don't cook because like it's like my like job or whatever. But it's mostly because I'm particular
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
I like to cook, but mostly because I probably wouldn't eat. And Natalie, I'm sure, is a fine cook.
We're just never going to give her the opportunity.
I'm just never going to give her the
Yeah.
opportunity.
I like-
And it's not because I want to be this like loving, helpful. I mean, obviously, I
Trad
do want to
husband.
be a loving, helpful partner, but I'm not cooking. The reason I cook
It's
is
selfish.
It's selfish. It's 100%
You
selfish.
will eat what I eat, but I won't eat what you eat.
Yeah.
So
You
it
know
makes
what?
sense.
Well, it turns out I'm a
What's-
really good
so
cook
it
and
is
Natalie
your
loves
job.
my cooking. And it just kind
Yeah.
of works out in terms of how we came up with our roles and responsibility of our relationship was a lot of it was like, all right, so like, you're really good at that. You like that. I fucking hate that. All right, great. We can conquer and divide. And then there's a million other things we just do together. And that's kind of what I find so fascinating about this conversation. Because in reality, if you're a conservative man, if you're a progressive man, especially if you guys decide to have a family and have kids, you just don't have the luxury of like, you know, really sticking your heels in the ground and being like, no. I mean, I guess you can, and I'm sure some people do,
Yeah,
but
some
there
people do.
also is a reason why the divorce rate is high as it is, because a lot of those times those people are like, you know what, I tried, and this isn't for me. And I'm sure, yes, there are some situations where people feel stuck and they can't get out of relationships. Obviously, there's extreme examples of every situation, and that's what I feel like the internet is always this, like referring to the most extreme version
Yeah.
of the thing that it's like that might happen. But in reality, I think most couples are just trying to survive and figure it the
Yes.
fuck out.
Right.
And there is a spectrum of the ways people go about making the relationships work. And yes, there is a spectrum of privilege and help that we all have. But even if you are lucky enough to have help, and Natalie and I are very lucky with the resources we have to help us like parent and work, but we are, and nevertheless are still like often feel like underwater and stressed out. And it's just more like, yeah, well, let's it needs to get done. So we do it. And like this idea. And I feel like a lot of the people who are most engaged in this in this discourse are single people. Am I wrong there? I feel
know.
like it's a lot of people
I don't know.
projecting what they want from themselves or don't want from themselves.
I feel like I see that a lot too, where it's just like a lot of the times people that are really triggered by certain elements, it doesn't actually pertain to them, but it's a fear of that could be their future. So it's like if I'm more resistant to it now, it's
Yeah.
like, but again, no one's forcing you. You don't, just because you become a wife doesn't mean your job is instantly in the kitchen. Just because somebody's a husband doesn't mean he goes to 9 to 5 with a briefcase and comes home and dinner's on the table. Like, to your point, I think the whole like heteronormative roles of the 60s, not really a thing right now. It's like, hey, if the trash needs to go out, do you have free hands or do I? Like, I don't think it needs to be like, oh my God, I'm your wife.
We're all
I will
just
not
doing
touch
our
that
best.
trash.
You know, like my
Yeah.
parents, like, and I'm so grateful because I learned like the idea of being a teammate through my parents, and they had 10 kids, and it was very blue collar. So my dad worked and my mom stayed home, but it was morally based off of like that was the hand they were dealt.
Yeah.
And if I were to like sit there and go, okay, my mom did that, my dad did that, I guess in a lot of ways they both kind of leaned into more traditional roles, but like. My mom mowed the lawn. My dad made dinner. My
Yeah.
dad cleaned. Like,
Yeah.
again, it was
Same.
mostly based off of
Yeah.
like who was available to do what it
Who
was.
has the
It's
bandwidth?
and who has the
Right.
bandwidth? And it was like, it
It's
was
so
like,
true.
and it's just hysterical
Yeah.
Yeah.
that this trad wife thing has become so big and so divisive, and it's so unrealistic when it comes to practical relationships.
Yeah.
I
And
just,
in this time and age, because
yeah.
I'm with you. Yesterday I said I was gonna make pasta from scratch, went to the farmer's market, got like tomatoes and my little
Yum.
things. I ordered my bread flour. I was ready. And then the day life happened, and come around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, Connor was just like, hey, like, are you gonna still be able to do that? And I was like, honestly, it's doing my head in. And he was like, I got you. And then he went and made dinner. So I'll make dinner tonight. But it's just like, again, there's no like, well, you said you were going to, so you should get in there because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you know
it's
what
just
I
like
mean?
my same
It's not
best
that big of a deal.
One of my best friends, him and his wife, they could not be more progressive in I think everything they believe. She also literally has like a pie making business. They went and bought a farm in Canada. They have a bunch of animals.
That's
like,
the
and
dream.
so much of their life from an outsider point of view, if you were just to describe their life, you would probably call them alt-right. You know, like literally.
Yeah.
But nothing
Based on visuals.
it's all just from a visual
Visuals,
standpoint.
yeah.
But like when did it become like having kids and making food and living on a farm become a political identity? It's
People in the
fucking
60s
crazy.
People are living on communes in the 60s. Whether you're talking about modern dating or you're talking about trad wives, like if you have a trad wife or you're stuck in a situationship, like it doesn't matter.
Just like
It's
focus
just
on
like-
you.
Or just like try to like lead with love and be a kind person and treat your neighbors right. Zeus's
Yeah.
law, if you will. I just saw the
Ooh.
Odyssey.
No, but it's true.
That's
I'm just
good.
like, I just think a lot of people are so focused on what everyone else is doing. And I'm just like, if it bothers you so much, look away. And it's that easily gone. But it's like, if you like to stay in a constant state of frustration and just being pissed that other people are living their lives in a way you don't agree with, I'm just like, that just seems like a
Exactly.
miserable existence.
You know, I was getting kind of frustrated because I bleached my hair. We can tell.
Looks good.
Thank you very much. I'm feeling good, feeling hot. And that's I like people were comparing me. A lot of the times would be like, you look like my friend. And they would show me a picture of a brunette lesbian. And I was like, I'm sick of this shit. And then I was like mad at people. And I was like, this is my own thing of my own identity. I want to be blonde again. And so I did it. And I didn't make it other people's problem. Like, I think sometimes we like on the internet kind of just like, we want something and we don't just do it for ourselves.
Susie, you got to post that.
You got to post that video.
Post
Should I
that.
post the bread tonight, guy? Or when this comes out?
And
When this
you
comes
should
out.
hashtag trad wife.
Okay. I'm dead. Oh
The
my gosh.
lesson from this episode, bleach your hair if you want to, be a trad wife if you want to.
bake the bread.
I'm gonna mock the whole trad wife industry.
You should bake some bread and post about it too.
You should do a little apron.
Yeah, just like cooking, wear an apron.
Yeah, like a
Like a
frilly
sun-
one.
But
really
you just have
cute.
to make
No,
a
but what's the
voiceover.
boy version of a trad wife outfit is my question. You should do
Overalls?
a 3-piece suit.
Yeah, put your Tom Ford suit on.
Yeah, 3-piece suit. You got to dress up for it.
And then you have to like go on and be like,
Top hat.
so my wife, while catering to our two twins, asked me,
Yes.
she was craving a sourdough sandwich. So I
You
said,
should.
I've got you, babe. I've started with my flour and sifter. Like, you have to literally
You
go
should
through
do
like
a Nara
every step in a like
Yeah.
phone operator voice.
You should do a Nara Smith nod.
And but I do imagine there are self-identified trad wives who are very earnest about this lifestyle, and that's why some people find it like triggering.
I'm just curious because I'm just like, you know how, I mean, I don't know. I just like, I wonder if like somebody who actually identifies as a trad wife, if they personally identify as a trad wife. Does that make sense? Like where I'm like, if I like just am like
Well,
the things
Nara,
that I
Nara
do.
would be a perfect
I have-
example. She was like, yo, I just didn't think it was that serious.
Well, it's-
And I,
But like if
I feel
something's
like
she's
trad
like, I
wives are
work,
out
I
back
provide for my
collecting the
family.
eggs,
I'm
right?
doing these things.
They're not online.
Honestly, like a real trad wife is subservient to her husband. I mean, that's what it is. That's what like the one like real
Sure.
like the real sort of like traditional family values is you're respecting your version of traditional family
And I-
values.
I can't
So
say that I've watched a shit ton of trad wife videos, but is that the theme
I-
that they're leaning into?
I am not
the
on that side of
subservient aspect, or is it
internet.
more about sourdough?
That's what it's like. That's what I'm saying. I
the
don't
real
think
ones are probably the subservient aspect. The ones that just like sourdough are baking sourdough.
I feel like a truly
But it does seem
authentic-
like people are throwing a lot of these labels on people
Well, yeah,
who
it's
are
like
making
cottagecore.
sourdough, and they're like,
Like,
wait, I never said I
It
was.
used to be.
That's what I'm saying.
it
Like, I
used to
don't
be
think an actual
cottagecore.
traditional wife is going around calling herself a trad wife.
Yeah.
I just think that that's like a part of like, hey, I wake up in the morning, I go collect eggs from the thing, I make my kids breakfast, I pack my husband lunch. Like if that's what you do on a day-to-day basis, you just call that a daily routine. It's not like I'm like,
Thursday.
oh my God, today as a trad wife, day one. Like, so that's what I'm saying where I'm like, I think the whole like as Nara being satire, it's like, again, it's a bit, it's a persona that she's playing into. I know most women that are cooking and making videos on the internet about cleaning and all that stuff. It's whether it's relatable or whether it's just like, okay, this is what I did a day in my life. No one's like, day in the life of a trad wife 243. Like, it's just, no.
We are obsessed with labeling people. I think it's more to make ourselves, I don't know, feel better about our choices. I don't know. It's wild, but stop it.
Her happier existence just keeps swiping.
Well, before we get to our first guest, don't forget the Viall Files Plus is available and ad-free for all of you sickos. I'm just kidding.
Okay, Wes Wilson.
For all you awesome,
all
people with
of
good
you
taste.
dedicated Viall Files listeners, if you need more, we got more for you. In addition to getting ad-free episodes, we have your reality recap deep dives where we dive even deeper. And sometimes we try out topics like Justin, Mary, and I talked about Treadwives last week, and we get really into the weeds, get a little messy. Sometimes we just say, fuck it, and I'm going to say this shit. You know, you guys think we're messy on here? You'd be surprised how safe we are on Viall Files. Well, we also have our Pop Extra episodes where we dive deep into topics we can't even possibly think about. Like, we didn't even have time to talk about Jax Taylor and his new girlfriend.
Jax Taylor's new
Smart Water.
girlfriend.
Maybe we'll get into it on Wednesday, but we'll certainly get into it on Plus.
We will get into Jax Taylor on Plus.
Smart Water.
We have your update specials where you get your favorite updates on all your favorite Ask Nick Call Us. So if you need more, we got more for you. Just go to viallfiles.com to sign up. You'll be glad you did. Up next, Dr. Pamela Baker joins us to help us continue the conversation about Kyle and Amanda and their marriage. We had some thoughts, like we mentioned, talking about in the city reunion, and had some opinions about what it meant about Kyle and Amanda not engaging in kind of sex in their marriage and why that might have happened and what it means. Dr. Baker chimed in the comments and was like, hey, I got some thoughts. And we were like, well, why don't you come on the show and share it? So she's up next. Housing is one of the biggest monthly expenses most of us have, and why not earn points on that payment? Becoming a Built member means earning points on everyday housing payment, whether it's rent or a mortgage. You can redeem Built points toward future housing payments, flights, hotels, Lyft rides, Amazon.com purchases, fitness classes, gift cards, student loan balances, member-only experiences, and so much more. The Neighborhood Concierge can help execute everyday tasks and discover local benefits like paying your rent, making dinner reservations, booking fitness classes, schedule Lyft rides, and more. All you have to do is download the Built app, link any credit card or debit card so purchases at participating local merchants become even more rewarding. When we first started talking about Built, it was only reserved for those paying rent, and those paying mortgages felt left out, but they made that switch not too long ago, and we quickly signed up to get those benefits of Built that so many renters were enjoying. Because again, if you're going to be making those payments, which I hope you are paying your rent or paying your mortgage, why not earn points for things that you already want to do, like shopping on Amazon, getting a Lyft ride? It makes you feel rewarded for things that you have to do anyways. Download the Built app and join the membership for where you live at joinbuilt.com/VIALL. That is joinbuilt, JOINBILT.com/VIALL. Use our link so they know we sent you. Figs, the greatest scrubs ever made for all your wonderful healthcare workers out there. As you know, Natalie used to be a surgical tech, and early in our relationship, I would often occasionally give her a pair of scrubs as just a thoughtful gift, because those were the scrubs she exclusively wore. She'd always talk about how comfortable they were, how much she loved them, how stylish they were. They have so many great options. Their fabric is soft, breathable, and stretchy. It's made with technology that helps prevent sweat and odor. They also have thoughtful details like strategically placed pockets and adjustable draw cords. Whether you're studying healthcare, spending long nights in classes, hospital and labs, or a professional working 12-hour shift, Figs helps you look sharp and perform your best. Figs just dropped fresh colors and exclusive back-to-school styles. From scrubs to outerwear to footwear and beyond, Figs has everything healthcare professionals need. So if you are in healthcare and by some miracle aren't aware of Figs, check them out. You'll be glad that you did. But also, if you're listening, chances are you know of someone in your life that is a healthcare worker, and if you want to make their day, give them the gift of scrubs, whether it's a birthday or just a special occasion or just because you care about them. You will brighten their day with a gift of scrubs. So if you're in healthcare or know someone who does, don't miss out on 20% off for back to school happening right now through August 11th at wearfigs.com. That's wearfigs.com. Is work crazy? Are your kids driving you nuts? Has it been forever since you did something just for yourself? Well, if this sounds like you, Spa Weekend, the hilarious new comedy from directors of Bad Moms and the writers of The Hangover, might just be what you need. It's all about 4 lifelong friends played by Leslie Mann, Isla Fisher, Michelle Buteau, and Anna Faris They're all burned out, overdue for a break, and desperate for a weekend away from it all. So they escape to a luxury spa retreat for what should be the most relaxing weekend of their lives, except nothing goes as planned. Well, I was lucky enough to get a screener of this amazing movie. Nally and I absolutely loved it. It's funny, hilarious. It's exactly what you and your friends need for a fun, laugh out loud movie. In other words, you deserve a spa weekend. Book your escape Spa Weekend, only in theaters August 21st. Dr. Baker, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
We're very excited to have you. We were talking about In the City last week, and we were like, if anyone's listening who's an expert, who actually has an expert opinion on some of the things we're talking about, chime in. And you so graciously raised your hand and engaged in the comments. So we were like, come on the show. To get started, can you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself, kind of your expertise, your background, and the qualifications you bring to this interview?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. My name is Dr. Pamela Baker, and I'm a licensed psychologist in the state of Florida. So I received my undergraduate degree from the University of Miami. Go Canes. Woohoo! And and then I went on to receive my master's and doctoral degree from Nova Southeastern University, which is in Davie, Florida. And now I'm working in private practice. I'm an expert in the field of anxiety disorders, depression, trauma-related issues, couples therapy, family counseling, things related to the LGBTQIA community, and the like. I'm a generalist. I do work with children, adolescents, and adults. So that's a little glimpse.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, you seem perfectly qualified to have this conversation, and we're not qualified. We
Yeah.
have it all the time. So anyways, we were talking about Kyle and Amanda, and they, I thought that was a really interesting conversation where they kind of admitted that very early in their marriage that physical intimacy played almost no part of that relationship. And we were kind of discussing and trying to debating, what does that mean? What does that look like? How does a couple end up in that situation? And we had some theories about is this like a love language thing? Is this a compatibility thing? I'm just curious, when you listened to that conversation between Kyle and Amanda, from an expert's point of view, what was your takeaway? And I guess what was your analysis of what they were bringing to that conversation?
Okay, so if we're referring specifically to the second part of the reunion
Yeah.
in the city, what I saw immediately was the lack of communication, the lack of connection. So what does intimacy mean to you might be different than what it means to me, different for Kyle, different from Amanda. If you watch that clip again, you can see very clearly she starts to explain the why, right? And what happens is immediately Kyle jumps in, and instead of listening or reflecting what he heard her say or validating her opinion, her thoughts, her feelings, he immediately goes into a totally different subject of explaining, going into his thoughts, his feelings. So immediately there's a disconnect. There's a lot going on there where she gets interrupted, not only by him, but then Andy. And I love Andy Cohen, so don't get it twisted. The man can do no wrong, in my opinion. However, then she gets bulldozed, and there's a problem there because she's not able to sort of advocate for herself in a really healthy, confident, self-aware manner. She lets it happen, and then people are laughing, and then the message gets lost, and then we hear Kyle's side of things, which had nothing to do with her explanation, which is okay. His opinion is important too. But the lack of connection and communication is the root of this, really, truly.
What was her explanation? It's been a few weeks now since I've seen it. Was it the cheating or what? I forget what it was that she started to explain when she got cut off.
I'm sure you remember, Dr. Baker. I just remember it was like a lack of, not that foreplay, but there was no romance.
Oh,
He wanted
yeah.
to be courted. It was
Okay.
just a lot of,
He would come home late and just want to hook up kind of a thing.
Yeah, it
with
would
now I remember.
It's right? She kind of felt like there was more this kind of expectation of sex, as if it was a responsibility she had in the marriage rather than something they as a couple enjoyed together.
Hmm. Yeah, she starts to say, I want to be courted. I asked for dates. I asked for time and speaking during the day. And instead of listening to any of that, uh, then he interrupts her. And then she comments about she was unhappy about his drinking, his partying, but that wasn't even the point. But then he latched onto it, and then he says immediately, "Well, of course. So now I'm an alcoholic and I'm a workaholic." So again, he misses his opportunity to connect and
Mm.
to hear her, and he goes into his kind of defense mode, which it's a human human impulse to do that. Of course, is very understandable. We all do that. But I can see in that one moment that that's the pattern of interaction and engagement, the dynamic that they've established together. I know we're seeing it at the end of the relationship, obviously, but that's problematic.
Another thing that we kind of talked about was just like we almost tried to, I guess, I suppose, label their marriage after we learned that there seemingly was zero intimacy for all these years, and we, I guess,
Mhm.
tried to talk about what like the authenticity of their relationship. We even suggested that maybe like, oh well, man, they're not intimate at all. Maybe is this more like a showman's? Like, are they to they talk so much about saving their fights for the show, and clearly so much of the relationship is centered around this show. I'm curious from your point of view, when you heard about just the lack of any intimacy, how did you see that relationship? Like, is this something that's fairly common or not common? And how can you have a successful marriage without any intimacy whatsoever? And for people who I guess are still staying together but not trying to close that gap or close that disconnection, how do you see that relationship?
It really depends on the person. Again, we have to get into labeling and understanding, what does intimacy mean to you? So if you really listen, it sounds like intimacy potentially. It starts emotion wise, even for men, even if they don't realize it. You actually said something smart when you were speaking about it, that men want to be respected. And Kyle does. And that's totally fair. He keeps sending the message that I'm the man, I'm the breadwinner, I'm going out and really working hard and doing my best. And you're not understanding that. So that to him seemed really important. And to her, him being out and working all day and not communicating is him not connecting to her. And it's like a missed opportunity. So intimacy starts there. It's a seed, right? He needs to feel like, you understand, I'm doing this for our family. I'm doing this for our future. And she wasn't seeing that. She was kind of defining that as, you're absent from our connection and our marriage. So that's a problem. And then same thing for her, she doesn't feel that she's connecting to him, that he's courting her, he's dating, he da da da. Da. So can you have a successful marriage without intimacy? No, no, because the physical part, especially for women, is not going to happen oftentimes without that emotional connection first.
Yeah. And what do you make of the fact that they stuck in this relationship for so long without having any of this intimacy? And it kind of gave that they both kind of gave up on even trying to
Hmm.
have the intimacy they both required. Like to your point, intimacy clearly meant two different things to each other,
Hmm.
and they kind
Hmm.
of seemingly always bulldozed over each other's,
Hmm.
explanation of what it meant to them. But yet they decided to maintain this relationship. There clearly is like, despite this, all the things that they don't have in this relationship, but they always, and even now post relationship have a respect. There's clearly, they care about each other. They do respect each other.
Hmm.
They weirdly want what's best for each other,
Hmm.
despite having all these disconnects in a relationship, which is just kind of fascinating. And what do you make of that?
Well, I think you nailed it in terms of the showmance. They admitted it, even in that reunion. They said that we're used to sort of going into the season and putting things on the back burner and masking the presentation of, like, on her, what was it, his birthday or her birthday? I think it was his birthday. where you remember that he was terrible to her the night before, said very abusive things in the bathroom and all of that, like called her names, and she was able to flip the switch the next day. That was a perfect glimpse about what they do on a regular. Is it for the show? Yeah, maybe. But I also think it's a part of their personality. They like to present a certain way, but then they don't really get to the root of their issues. They don't talk about what their boundaries are. Again, how to connect and what's not acceptable.
So, having watched the show from the beginning, obviously there's clearly a disconnect that happens, whether it was the cheating and Amanda accepting him back into life and accepting the proposal and, not breaking up after that. We're kind of talking about how it's really hard, obviously, to forgive somebody for some sort of indiscretion in such a way, let alone to completely forget about it. But at the same time, if you're going to choose to marry somebody and spend the rest of your life with them, we're seeing a constant where from In the City to the reunion, that Amanda constantly is talking about a disconnect from before they got married, and that Kyle's talking about the disconnect post-marriage.
Mm-hmm.
With seeing those two things, I guess my question more so is that not that there's a fault to be had, but is it possible that these two people, right, have both experienced the downfall of their relationship at different stages, and maybe the therapy at the end of their marriage is what maybe we're starting to see the full picture, but I'm there's clearly been a disconnect throughout their relationship. There's clearly no communication. So was there ever a way for them to come back from where they're at, or from what they were experiencing, or to get on the same page? Because I feel even at the end of their marriage, that's kind of the main point, is that they were never capable of getting on the same page. But if two people are hurt by different things throughout their relationship, was it inevitable that they would end up being divorced?
It's never inevitable. Of course, we never know. But it's kind of like when you enter into a relationship, you should already work on building the skills. So establishing what's acceptable in your relationship, what the boundaries are, and what are the expectations? Because going into their marriage, she likely thought that things would change when they got married. That's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really be communicating about that. And if you're not able to express that effectively, and I'm not blaming her, this is anybody, hypothetically speaking, you have to be comfortable, confident, strong to be able to advocate and say, you know what? If I'm entering into this marriage, I'm having the expectation that in a couple years, we're not really going to be drinking, we're not going to really be partying, we're not going to be doing XYZ. And if you're not clear about that, it's, really not fair. They're seeing things totally different.
Right.
Kind of piggybacking on what Sarah was asking, I imagine, because it seems like Kyle and Amanda are, whenever, they got into couples therapy, it seems like very late in the relationship, probably too late. And I imagine you experience this a lot as a couples therapist.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like a lot of people, when they enter in couples therapy, their goal isn't closing the gap or being more connected. Their goal is to find a referee to agree with them, and then tell their partner that, see, I was right. And it feels like that's very much Kyle and Amanda. I imagine you deal with that a lot in couples therapy. When you do, when say a couple walks in and you get a sense that they are both looking for the referee and they're hoping that you will be team them, how do you address that head on? And have you ever been, or is it pretty impossible to try to change that mindset to realize, I don't agree with either of you, and if you don't change your expectations or what you want out of this, I'm not going to be able to help you. How do you have that conversation with a couple that clearly comes in wanting to be right and looking for an advocate rather than looking for a therapist?
It's a very good question, because that absolutely happens most of the time. So I appeal to that and I say, listen, you can't go in expecting the other person to change. It's not going to happen. You have to go in owning your part and really taking pride in that. It's not even altruistic, because I try to build the person up individually by, you want to feel like your best self. You want to progress. You want to develop. You want to be emotionally mature and intelligent. And so I make it a positive thing that they, what does that mean? Take accountability and responsibility for what they're bringing to the table, them, not pointing the finger. So I make that a positive thing rather than I'm going to go in and be on the defense mode and this makes me a bad person and my ego can't handle that. And then I reinforce when they're able to do that. And then I use an analogy of look for the key, what the person provides you. When they say something that upset them that you did, oh, instead of saying, oh my God, I didn't do that, which is, the normal reaction, right? Instead say, wow, that's a key they're literally offering me in my hand. What can I do about that? Do I feel comfortable doing that? Am I okay with what they're asking? Is the behavior, the action that they're wanting me to do? Like one thing Kyle said that stuck out to me is, well, this is just me. Anybody can say that. But do you go to the gym and work out and be your best self, lift some weights? Yeah. Same thing emotionally. It's not just you. If you want to grow as a person and then grow as a couple, you have to have that.
Yeah.
I always think that the kiss of death in a relationship is talking poorly about your partner, especially when they're not present. And I feel like that was a constant theme we've seen, especially in the last 4 seasons, once things kind of started to get bad between the two of them. And like, what would advice that you would give to a couple knowing that that's how they behave about each other in public?
Respect. So again, that's something that could be communicated in therapy. Like, how can we respect each other if that means when we're out in a public situation, especially if you're on a reality show, God help us.
I know.
We're just not going to do that. We're going to speak to each other, that even if you table it and if you say, okay, that really upset me, but honey, let's, talk about it later. I even say like a code word so that you're saying to your partner, oh, this isn't okay. But we'll talk about it behind closed doors because we just don't throw each other under the bus.
Right.
And we don't take pleasure in that, like gathering people to be on our side. We're supposed to be on each other's side, right?
Yeah, and that's why
Yeah.
I find it to be so like shocking because to your point, I just don't know how, especially in the Bravo world, how couples are able to survive. Because like, how do you agree to go on as a couple, agree to be interesting, maintain that level of respect that you hope you have coming in to a marriage, into this like show, and then know that you will be, specifically asked to talk about your partner. You're, like the whole, like every confessional is basically, so who are you willing to talk shit about, and if you're and if your major storyline is your relationship, then you're going to be asked to do that. And I can't, it's whoever couples, I don't know if you watch obviously a lot of reality TV. Are there couples in reality TV that stand out to you as, I don't know how they do it, but they seem to do it right, knowing that they have so much pressure to talk shit and to complain and to nitpick and just kind of be vulnerable at the risk of throwing their partners under the bus?
That's really sad that I can't think of some.
I have one.
No, I mean,
I have one.
Oh, wait, I'm ready. I want to hear. Who?
Heather and Terry Dubrow.
Right?
Meredith and Seth Marks.
Yeah, that's where it's like
questionable.
Mama and Papa.
because there was that scene, I think that was last season, where they were at a doctor's office or whatever, and Terry got snippy, and Heather was like, "We don't do this," like and people wanted to come for them, being like, "You're fake, you're hiding aspects of your life, your marriage isn't perfect." But I do think that you do have a responsibility to your relationship when you are showcasing something on reality television for millions to have an opinion on, that I'm like, you have to protect something and keep something sacred. So if it's like, hey, we'll get involved in other people's mess, but we're not bringing our mess directly to the table, and we're definitely not going to nitpick each other to give everybody some fodder to go off of.
Yeah.
Which is what I think Heather and
The
Terry did.
authenticity is the fact that they don't do that.
Exactly.
It's just like, hey, we, like everyone else, fight and we annoy each other and we get on each other's nerves, but what we won't do is give the audience the satisfaction to throw each other under the bus so you feel that I'm authentic as an individual.
Right.
But I think that brings so much scrutiny from the audience. Like, people hate it. People are like truly calling people fake, even like Nia and Danny. Like, obviously there's a lot of things that they need to work on in their relationship, but like, she really doesn't air her stuff out with him, and she she stands up for him like time and time again, whether you agree with the relationship or not. Like she's not going to bring their drama to the show, and they're even stepping away because they're like, this is actually not good for our family
marriage,
dynamic. Yeah.
Have you been watching The Valley at all?
Of course I have. I know exactly what you're talking about. First of all, the Heather and Terry thing, I totally agree. Heather obviously is, she's an actress, and they're both very poised, very professional, and very smart. And I actually respect them too for doing that. I really do. And I do believe that it is not let go behind closed doors because she's a strong woman.
Yeah.
She's going to bring it up. It's not going to be let go. Love that. And with the Nia situation, also, she's a pageant. She's in the pageant world. She also knows how to present herself very well. And that's important to her. And that's okay. It's beautiful. Not everybody likes that, but I don't really care. As long as it works for the couple. Is it more exciting when it's dramatic for the audience? Yeah, of course.
Right.
But it's not healthy.
I was going to say, as a couples therapist, watching The Valley, is that one of the harder ones for you to watch? Because you're like, I wish we could sit down and talk about this? Or is it like there's just so many different examples of relationship dynamics, maybe not on the more positive side?
Interesting, loaded question. I don't know. Are you asking about like in general all of them, or would I want to specifically sit down with one of them because I think it could be helpful or interesting?
Just in general, like as somebody that's like watching, because like I obviously am not a couples therapist, and I have a lot of opinions on what I'm seeing because it's just it's almost a different level of, I don't want to just say fully toxicity, but it is. It's almost like I just see so many different degrees of things where I'm like, oh, this could probably be dealt with if they would just sit down and talk about this instead of talking about it with them or whatever. But I'm just like, I don't think I've seen so many couples dynamics that I'm just kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like where it's like, it's almost like they're all just like passing around a hot potato, but like no one's actually dealing with their stuff. So I couldn't imagine being a couples therapist wanting to weigh in on that.
Like is it a hard watch?
Type of show.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course I want to sit all of them down, but do they ever do that? I'm not sure. Obviously, we just get a slice of their life, which is exciting, and potentially they do have some of those skills. I don't want to, assume that they don't, but
When watching The Valley, which couple do you think has the healthiest dynamic?
Ooh.
Good question. Lala with her babies.
Yeah. I was going to say there's not really a lot. Well, I guess there are a lot of couples, but I'm like, there's
one
not
with
a
no
lot.
man?
Which couple do you think has the worst dynamic?
Oh, I would never say that. I would. First of all, I would label it as which couple has the most room for growth.
Yes,
Oh,
there we go.
yes.
That's what we
Yes.
wanted to
Yes.
ask. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Actually, I lied.
Oh,
though. I thought
okay.
about it for a second.
Oh, there we go.
I think that they have just so much to handle in terms of so many children and the recent move. That's a lot. Then I was thinking the Kristen situation is really difficult, that relationship.
What part?
Well, obviously, it sounds like she's experiencing potentially some postpartum stuff,
Yeah.
which is very normal, common, of course, reasonable. But it sounds like there's obviously a disconnect there in terms of his, again, expectations. He could never know what it's going to be like when you have children and how those, everyday things are going to change. Their connection is going to change. But they are definitely not on the same page. And I hope the therapy helps. I'm proud of them for pursuing it and trying to work on it, but it's hard.
What I mean, I'm curious. What if a Kristen and Luke type of couple came into your office? What do you say to the Lukes? And I only say this because maybe it's a product of me growing up with a lot of sisters. I don't fucking know, or having a lot of women friends. But Natalie just gave birth to twins. We have a daughter. There's a lot going on right now. It just like didn't need to be. I just feel like the explanation is like, yo, dude, chill out. I don't like what do you, I just feel like, how do you get a guy who maybe has what feels like these unreasonable expectations of how their woman partner is supposed to show up postpartum in the bedroom? And I feel like the explanation is, hey, you just need to understand better. There's not a lot of nuance to like telling the guy that like right now now's not the time to prioritize your
Physical intimacy.
physical intimacy. Like, but how, as a therapist, I'm sure you're more nuanced than, a friend would be. How do you have that conversation knowing that you're trying to have him hear you, but do you also feel ever compelled to just be like, chill the fuck out, dude? Like, just like telling him, you know what I'm saying? Cause like, why do we need to walk? I just feel like this is common knowledge. But yet.
Wait, I love this though. I love this.
Yeah.
I had a patient years ago that used to say to me, he was talking to me about his wife situation. He would say to me, Dr. Baker, it's common sense. And I would say to him, I hear you, but common sense is even a term that's subjective. What your common sense is different than and he's like, no, it does not make sense. Absolutely not. And I want to tell you, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I did see that. And I love something you said the other day. I do listen to your podcast and you're like, see you in 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and it's cool. It's fine. And again, to your point, there's also it's just a zillion other ways to demonstrate intimacy.
There you go.
And if nothing else, like what Nally and I tried to do is continue to let the other person know that we look forward to whenever that day is that allows us to get back to like what feels maybe more normal when it comes to the physical intimacy, for what normal is for us, at least. And there are times where we are good at that, and there are times where we're not, and when we're not, we check in, it's like, are you still, you're still hot for me type of thing. But like it's just, I am blown away that it seems to not land with so many men out there. And I am just curious, a professional like you, how do you get through to men who are more traditional, I suppose, or just a little bit more dense when it comes to, or maybe they just didn't have a mom or a girlfriend to let them know, like, yo, you might have to chill out a little bit. How do you have that conversation?
Great question. I would go back to what I said earlier. It sounds so simple, but when I say find the key, if you go into the conversation like, listen, I need to have sex. This has been too long. I'm dying. You suck. I cannot handle this. And if she's going in, I cannot have sex. You're not understanding me. I'm going through so much stuff everywhere. No. If you go in with that, okay, nothing is going to be solved. If you go in saying, how can I find the key to connect? So what does that mean? It's compromise potentially, but it's like, listen, if he goes in saying, I really need some kind of physical connection, it's really hard. I feel outside of things. And honestly, that happens a lot with men. When the woman has a baby, the attention and focus changes. It does. The dynamic, the energy changes. And that's hard for some men. It really is. But then he needs to be honest and talk. It's okay for him to feel that. It's always okay for you to think and feel anything. But then you can't push it. How can we, meet in the middle somehow? Is there something that he can ask for that she is comfortable with? Okay, honey, so I know you can't have sex, like vaginal sex maybe. Is there other like connections that we can do that you are okay? That's the key thing.
Sure.
If you focus on just what you want, you're done.
Question, and I just thought of this when you mentioned this. That some men feel like the attention it drifts a little bit from them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that the men who feel that way more often than not are maybe leaning into traditional roles and are not as hands-on in terms of helping around the house? I only ask that because I'm a really, like, Nally and I, as much as we can, share the responsibilities of everything that happens in our household. And and again, I'm only speaking of my personal experience, but I have not felt that lack of attention or lack of prioritization in my direction, but I think it's because we're doing everything together. So I just don't, that connection comes from us doing things together. And I feel like that way I just have never felt like the kids are getting more attention than me. And I think it's just because we're just sharing so much of the responsibilities, where I wonder if a guy who's just like, well, I guess, I don't know, I don't do diapers and I don't do this or yada, yada, yada. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Is that not,
Totally.
is that not the case?
No, I would say a couple variables come into play though. So some things I know about you specifically, I think that you grew up in a very big family. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Had a lot of siblings.
Yeah.
So those things play a huge role. Also, you mentioned that you had sisters. My brother is the most amazing man ever, and he's wonderful with women. Like very kind, very thoughtful, very sensitive, but also like a masculine guy. He has 3 sisters, and he was very close to his mom. Those variables are really important in terms of those dynamics. You had to share. You had to understand that your opinion, your what you were interested, what you wanted was not always the priority. It had to be divided with siblings. It had to be understood in a bigger context. So it's just there are so many variables that come into it. It's the nature versus nurture kind of idea. But somebody maybe that grew up with like one brother and they're like, I mean, I'm, being stereotyping.
Sure.
a bit.
Oversimplifying. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But I imagine that of having a sister or women friends is a green flag for a lot of you.
Whenever a guy has multiple sisters, I've always said they show up different in relationships. They're so much sweeter and like more empathetic to my experience as a woman. That's how I've felt.
You know what's fun? I mean, I have 2 brothers, right? And one of my brother, like my oldest brother is 13 years older than me. So like it was less with that. But when my closest brother in age to me, who's 8 years older than me, started dating his like now wife, it was just so funny to see him be like that guy kind of that like me, my mom, and my sisters had been like kind of forcing him to be. And just watching him react completely different to her than to us is like the sweetest thing. Like to watch like the guy, like he is the person I am maybe meanest to in the entire world, but no one else could be. And like,
for sure,
I love that. Like I can do that. And then like, and then he'll be awful back to me, but it's like fine. And then to watch him like to know that it actually works. You know what I mean? It's
you've
like
been training him.
Yeah, to know that like the training
I suppose
works.
some guys who don't have sisters or grow up with women friends, when they get into a relationship and
clueless,
and they just have a complete lack of everything seems stupid to them, or I don't know what it is. Like it's fascinating.
Or you see them in like there'll be other times where you'll see like someone who grew up with sisters like do that thing that pisses you off, and it's been really also awesome to get to be the sister to be like, hey, don't let him talk to you like that. And she's like, I know. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. Well, Dr. Baker, this has been really interesting. I appreciate you taking the time. Always great to have someone with your expertise giving us some takes on all the shows that we love to watch.
Absolutely. It was such a pleasure. Again, congratulations. And I hope that you and your wife and the kiddos are doing well. And I'm happy to contribute anytime.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm watching it all.
Keep popping off in the comments. We appreciate your takes and always love the discourse. Dr. Baker, where can people find you, follow you, if that's something you're interested in?
Yeah, you can follow me. I'm Pammy Lee, PammyLeigh on Instagram. I don't really do TikTok, although I do watch them all. And yeah, my email is drpamelaleebaker@gmail.com, and you can catch me there.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time, Dr. Baker. We appreciate you.
Enjoyed it. I had so much fun.
All right,
Have a
take
wonderful
care.
rest of your day. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Love getting professional.
Love that.
I feel like I just had a session.
Yeah, right. Professional perspectives on the shows that I watch.
Yeah.
Thinking I am a psychologist.
Analyzing, yeah.
Because I also have theory that I like to share. I'm just watching The Valley and like why I don't think it's doing very well, or why I think it's a hard watch for a lot of people. I kind of feel like, and maybe tell me if you agree, disagree, but I was like, I think it's just, I'm watching a group of people, right, in their late 30s, early 40s, that don't really seem like they have a lot going on outside of being involved in each other's relationships, which really presents this toxic, constant need to be talking about each other. But like, we have nothing really to root for with these couples.
They're too their job is being on TV.
Yeah.
And they're like too invested in each other's stories, but it doesn't feel like these people like hang out in a way that it comes from a place of concern. It feels like everything is a pitch for a storyline.
Yeah.
And if we grab onto this, then this is what we're going to be following. But I'm like, Brittany has a podcast. Who doesn't on that cast? It's like, Nia's going off to the beauty pageant things. I'm like, why are we not following these people while they're doing other things outside of just fighting with each other? Because then maybe it would make them be a little bit more aspirational, maybe a little something that like
well-rounded.
makes you want to root for these people.
Well, Michelle and Jesse, they are in real estate, but like I think, I know that they talked about real estate more than it was shown.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a producer choice. I do think like,
but isn't the Valley by default kind of about these relationships though? So that would make sense if that's what they're framing it for, I guess, with their intention, regardless of if that's
it's
successful.
too much. I agree with Sierra. It's almost
I agree
like,
too, for the record,
one,
just a question.
it's a cast that predominantly has been on TV for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that is primarily their job is being on TV.
Also,
and
since they were like dating and younger too, it's like kind of all they know, right?
Yeah. And then a lot of them have podcasts, but that's kind of an extension of their influencing type of life. But I think what's made like say Housewives so fascinating is that many of them we are interested in their lives, and they do seem to be willing to talk about their life outside of these relationships. Yes, the relationships are things that we care most about and the friendship dynamics, but to your point, it feels very forced and almost too toxic, and there's just
there's no like positive. There's nothing that you're like rooting for these, not even just as couples, but as individuals. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, I want to see you thrive. I want to see you doing well. And then it's like, oh, I like that I have to bring myself down to this level to have this fight at someone's birthday party or whatever. And a great example of that in comparison would be Summer House. You watched Paige start off as an influencer to where she's ended up now. You've watched Carl go from a complete fuckboy to, a business owner, an entrepreneur. And it's just like, so even if we're seeing bad or toxic traits or whatever and seeing people work through them to get on the other side, I think is also a part of the thing that makes you fall in love with a cast of reality television and to grow with them.
Yeah.
But like we're 3 seasons in and I'm like Kristen has a full-on clothing company. I'm like, if Luke and farming and whatever he does with his family, like, I'm just like, I just feel like there's so many other elements that could make these people and their couple dynamics so much more interesting. And instead we're so focused on them hating each other and like destroying each other's relationships that it's
demonizing it. Like Nia and Danny is a perfect example. It's just like clearly like most relationships that they have some flaws as a relationship, they have some flaws as individuals, but the way they are just demonized and again labeled, and like they don't even talk about other aspects of the relationship. How did these two people love each other enough to start a family, have 4 kids under 4, and up until recently seemingly make it work?
Yeah.
And that requires so many healthy decisions and so much but the way they are highlighted is so
every couple, it's like pigeonholed to their darkest moments.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's just not enjoyable to watch without, you need the duality. You need the light to counteract the darkness. And that show has just become so dark that it's like, and I mean this like in the nicest way, but it's like the fact that like Jesse and Michelle seem like the healthiest relationship dynamics on that show after we watched
it's inauthentic.
You know what I mean? After we watched the worst season they could possibly have had and the worst divorce and all of that to like where we're at now. And it's just like, I feel like you need something to root for if we're going to talk about the breakdowns of relationships or friendships.
I mean, and I talk about this a lot on just Bravo in general. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, like Kristen and Luke are friends. I don't know them that well, so I haven't talked to them about this. But for all I know, and it wouldn't shock me, is if like for storyline, Luke has had to lean in to this postpartum issue that they've had, and he's not as dense as he's coming across about, or he's not as unempathetic to Kristen's needs as he's coming across because like that's the storyline.
Because we need something.
Mm-hmm.
And to another comparison, because from what you were saying earlier, was like, think of Vanderpump Rules, for example, right? The restaurant is the location. It's the place that brings all of these people together. It's the explanation as to how these people are in each other's lives. But then it's like, oh, we follow Jackson Stassi. We follow Kristen and Tom and Katie. And then you have the girls' friendships in between that. And then it's like the drama that comes in with the Sheenas or what, you know what I mean? Where it's like the way that you introduce more characters and you kind of want to see, but then you've got Sheena wanting to be a pop star.
It's just like a multi-level, like nuanced, layered show that you want to watch. And I wonder,
but it's not,
like,
though.
But
That's
like,
the
well,
thing.
no. Well, Vanderpump was in the Valley, obviously, as an extension of Vanderpump, kind of lost that main sort. They lost Sir.
Like,
what are you doing? Like, they don't work at the restaurant anymore. What are they doing?
I
But-
think of
but-
They got
season.
famous from working at a restaurant, and now they are too famous to work at a restaurant.
But that was the thing is think about season
Yeah.
1 is that it wasn't about them working at a restaurant or trying to be famous. It was the
Yeah.
fact that they were all aspiring actors, models, musicians. So it's like in between seeing them at their shifts and going
you
through
got
the
Sandoval
normal
doing
drama.
the worst short film you've ever seen.
You know,
yeah,
you've
like
got
your friends.
recording sessions, you've got aspiring DJs, you've got club nights for things for drama to come down. Like, you know what I mean? Where I'm like,
The Valley, they're not doing anything anymore.
it just feels like you guys are just sitting on your couches talking to your significant other about how much worse another couple is
Which,
than you.
As
like,
if
Yeah.
being
low-key,
30 and having a family was just about talking shit about your friends.
100%.
And
Like
that's just not
and it's not
real life.
aspirational. That
Yeah.
I could understand how anybody in their 20s watching The Valley is like,
it makes me
"Fuck,
terrible.
Is this what I have to
Can
look
I be
forward
really
to?
honest
Yeah.
with you guys?
Yeah.
The reason I have a hard time watching The Valley is because, like, I am so terrified. That's what my life would turn into
Do you
one
see-
day. Like, I can't watch it. Like, it literally like makes me want to bomb.com.
But that's
I
not
get
how
that.
like
It's not an accurate depiction, I think,
of like friend groups.
of friend groups, of
You
what
would
it's
just
like
stop
being
hanging out with
30s.
those people.
100%.
Literally, I wouldn't be around them.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time in adult life, your friend group does get smaller, and as your life
Yeah.
gets busier and busier, it's just sometimes you want to hang out with friends, but you know, if you and your friends decided to have kids or whatever, that sometimes just makes it difficult to like all get together on a
Coordinate.
Thursday night like you used to. But like for the ones who are lucky enough to still be able to do that, you only do that because it's fun and enjoyable, and it's just like you get to mix things up,
Yeah.
and as if like these people like only get together to just
Right.
ruin each other's lives.
Ruin
is
each
like
other's
wonder-
days. Because that's just like even the scene with Nia coming over to talk to Kristen and whatnot, like they both just had babies. Like you would think that you would pose this under like a baby play date or something like cutesy and fun. It just felt like Nia walked in with her baby on for them to be like, hey, this is what people are saying about your husband. And she's like, well, this is too much for me. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know what I mean? There's no intention there. There's no like when I have my friends over, I don't have my friends over to sit them down and be like, hey, this is what everyone's saying about you.
Right.
It's like, you come over, I probably have food set out for you. We're going to have drinks. We're going to go sit on the balcony. We're going to go walk to a restaurant, whatever we're
Yeah.
going to go do. It's like there's a plan, not just like, hey, now that you're here, how do you feel about Michelle? Like,
Right.
you know, I'm just
No,
like,
it's like you're getting a margarita, and then 45 minutes of that conversation, you're going to be talking about nothing, and then you're like, oh, by the way, can we just like quick thing on Michelle?
thank you. Like that's that.
And then you move on.
Exactly.
Like, I wonder sometimes about the Valley if it's, you know, kind of when you tell your friends about your relationship, you'll tell them about the stuff that's stressing you out because you want to talk to people
Yeah.
about it.
Mhm.
And you maybe kind of tell them too much about that and not enough about the right stuff.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, well, that sounds really bad. And
Leave
you're like,
him.
no. Like, I just told you the shitty parts. Is that just the
Yeah.
Valley in a show?
It's just
Like,
the
it's
Valley.
just
Could be.
showing the bad parts of these relationships, and we don't get to see any of the normal good stuff
or like any growth. Like that's
or the
kind-
friendships.
That's what I feel like too. Is
Yeah.
again to give credit to Michelle and Jesse, where I'm like, even then, still rocky, still messy. I'm just like, you just really don't have an. Obviously, I love Kristen, so I'm not including her in this. But I'm just like, it is where I'm like, you're not really watching a range of any growth whatsoever. It's just another year and another of the same. Oh, you don't like Janet again? Okay, so here we go. Like Janet, yes, she may not be palatable for most people. She's giving you
She's
something to talk
fine.
about on this show. So I'm just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like at least she's showing up for work. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm just kind of over it. And then I'm sorry if I'm just going to bring up the one thing on the finale with Danny, where I'm just like, I'm sorry. These people aren't your friends, right? If they talk to you this way, they make you feel this way, they make you feel like you have to hide your
Mhm.
drinking. If I have to film one last hurrah with these people at a Halloween party, you know what I'm probably not going to do? Get blackout wasted to the point where I can't put together a sentence and then be surprised that somebody threw a drink at me or that something escalated. And then to make your statement weeks before that you're not coming back to the show because the show's the problem with your relationship. And then it's like to see that hey, you have an entire group of people that cannot wait for a camera to turn on to talk about what a mess you are with drinking, and then you give them exactly that for the finale. Like, I too would
That's
walk
crazy.
away. Huh?
That's crazy. He did that?
Yeah, he literally is like blackout drunk, can't put together a sentence.
But
like,
you know that they filmed that post statement?
no, they released a statement saying that they weren't coming back to the show a few weeks ago. But I think that they said that because they like obviously seeing the trajectory of where the show was going with their dynamic. They were like, no, like we're putting a stop to it. Where I was like, maybe your decision to walk away, but I'm like, I would have walked away regardless, knowing that this was the finale.
Well, it does seem
Yeah.
like, to your point, maybe he does in fact have some kind of problem.
That's what I'm saying. If I knew that I would be under ridicule based off of my drinking, I definitely would not, the last time that I'm filming with this group of people, get blackout wasted
But
to prove their point.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
He probably does in fact have a problem. But to the other point, they're
But now
they're more than just this problem.
Exactly.
And it only gets taught. I mean, it's just. But the bigger point is like, yeah, it's unbelievable. It's not believable that these people are actually friends.
Exactly.
It just looks like they all got casted to be on a show.
Yeah.
To cause drama, and that's just not. It doesn't work if that's that's the.
No friend group would exist in such a manner, let alone that I'm like, I know the paycheck is worth it, but I'm just like, at this point, it's not believable.
Yeah, they need to be more well-rounded. Well, a show we are watching and enjoying is Married at First Sight, and we have Dr. Lisa with us to talk about the show in general, the kind of fascinating aspect of how people just agree to show up and get married and figure it the fuck out afterwards. It is a captivating show. We are super into it, and we have Dr. Lisa up next to talk all about it. August is National Dog Poop Month. All right. Of course it is. There's a holiday for everything, and if anyone understands being this invested in the quality of your dog's poop, it's Ollie. They deliver fresh, human-grade food that's gently cooked to maximize your dog's nutrition. Their recipes are developed by real chefs with gut-friendly ingredients that support digestion, energy, skin health, and better poops. With flavors like fresh beef and sweet potato, that's Jeff and Steve's favorite, or fresh turkey and blueberries, you'll notice smaller, finer, less stinky poops, and a happier belly for your dogs. You know how much you love your dogs. Everyone loves their dogs, and you want your dogs to be around as long as possible. And what you feed your dog matters greatly in your overall dog's health and longevity. So give them the gift of Ollie, because you'll have the peace of mind that your dog is getting great food that's good for them, and they'll also love it. They also make it incredibly easy to sign up, and food's delivered directly to your door. They also have personalized feeding guides, free vet support, and a well-being score that tracks your pup's health over time. This summer, treat your pup with better food and perfect poops. Head to ollie.com/VIALL. Tell them about your dog. Use our code VIALL to get 70% off your welcome kit when you subscribe today. It's super easy and risk-free with their obsession guarantee. That's Ollie, OLLIE.com/VIALL, and enter code VIALL to get 70% off your first box. Ollie, feed the obsession. As summer winds down and it's the perfect time to reset your wardrobe, Quince makes it easy to build a closet of timeless essentials. Quince specializes in beautifully tailored, high-quality basics like their ultra-soft cotton and premium Mongolian cashmere sweaters that transition seamless from work to dinner. Their premium stretch denim starts at just $50 with a fit, structure, and quality you expect from luxury designer brands. Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands because they work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middleman. Quince also offers elevated home essentials, including hotel-quality bedding and bath products, kitchen staples, and thoughtfully designed furniture. Everything that Quince makes is spectacular. We have their sheets. I have their jackets, their Mongolian cashmere sweater. Their staples, whether it's even just their basic tees, are incredible. So if you are looking to upgrade your wardrobe, or maybe you're still are planning on taking some kind of summer vacation, don't forget they have an amazing linen collection. Truly everything they have is well-made and perfectly priced for you and your family. Upgrade your everyday with Quince. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers, or just go directly to quince.com/VIALL. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/VIALL. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. You can visit BetterHelp.com/reviews to see real customer reviews that are updated every day with feedback from people sharing their experiences with BetterHelp. More than 6 million people have used BetterHelp globally and has an average live therapy session rating of 4.9 out of 5, based on over 1.7 million client reviews. Listen, we talk about therapy all the time, and it's been a huge impact in my personal life and my relationship life. But we also know how challenging and intimidating therapy can be. It's also can be costly. It can be inconvenient. And when we've talked about BetterHelp in this way, it does such a great job of breaking down so many of those barriers that are stopping people from getting the therapy they need. What I love so much about BetterHelp is that they help ensure that you're going to find a therapist that's right for you. Not every therapist is created different, and not every therapist is perfect for you. You want a therapist that is helping you get unstuck, move through your obstacles, and help you stop ruminating about the problem so you can live the life that you want. BetterHelp has so much positive feedback from people who actually use the service. It's a no-brainer. If you're curious whether it's a good fit for you, take a few minutes to browse the reviews and hear directly from real users. See the reviews, see what stands out, and see if BetterHelp is right for you. Visit BetterHelp.com/VIALL. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/VIALL. Dr. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Nick, I am so excited to talk to you.
Oh my God, likewise. Very excited. I mean, I'm loving this show. I can't believe I slept on Married at First Sight for so long.
I can't believe you slept on it either. I need a little foreplay though. I want to warm up with you because you and I have stuff in common before. I mean, we can go right in.
No, please. I need the foreplay.
Wanted to bond out.
I don't get the sleep I need, so I need to wake me up. It's early. Yeah.
Watch how unsexy my foreplay is. I too have twins.
Do you? That's awesome. How old are yours? How old are yours?
So I heard you and I have a big parallel. I'm going to stack it up so I can blow your mind. I also have an age difference in my marriage. I have one older son, and then we have twins right after. So mine are all boys, but I have the older and then the twins. Mine are also teenagers now.
Wow.
So
but you have the all boy thing, and I have the all girl thing.
And you have the older thing, and then the two twins after.
Yeah. Wow.
How are you holding up? That's what I really want to know. How are you doing?
Objectively great. Yeah. Great.
But on a daily basis.
Pretty good. Yeah. River.
She said, be honest.
River is it's the best age. She's 2.5, and she's so cute, and and obviously now really bonding both with me and Natalie. She's always bonded with Natalie, but now I'm definitely the beneficiary of her feeling
totally.
But she's also only 2.5, and do you have any expertise in child psychology?
I mean, I am a classically trained clinician, so I can meet you wherever you need to be.
Well. She's only 2.5, and it's my understanding that at her age, her brain's a little it's new, it's underdeveloped, and she's feel like she's in this kind of weird gray area where she's pretty sharp, so she's learning things pretty quickly. And so as parents, it's but she knows how to not listen, and she's kind of she's becoming more self-aware, and I think we're just very confused on is she too young to punish? She likes to talk back, and she's turning into a real
sassy.
And there's some challenges with, because it's we obviously want her to start listening, but it's is she too young to, are we wasting her time with these lessons yet? I don't know.
No.
And it's also really cute. And that's,
right. You'll strike the balance.
Yeah. And then the twins, the crying, it's, they're so cute, but it's oh my God. Really?
And they're crying twice. There's two.
Oh my God. But anyways, they're all lovely.
And it kills a relationship. I mean, yay, you're a family, but sexy it's not for now.
We're doing okay on that department. We both have the can't wait mentality. So there's that. So the fire's still cooking, so to speak.
All right.
We haven't heated anything up lately.
No, I was not thinking you had, but my condolences until that time comes again. It will be so good, though.
Yeah, no, I can't wait.
Yeah. That's it. That was my foreplay. I was we have connection. I needed to land in it.
I love it. We'll have to hope maybe this will be part one of an ongoing friendship and relationship between the.
I have a feeling.
Again, just I can't believe I slept on Married at First Sight. What a fascinating show. I'm kind of convinced this is maybe the future of love and dating, Dr. Lisa. What do you think?
It's kind of amazing, right? So I think it's maybe the future and also a throwback to big tradition. So if you think about that, it's kind of modern matchmaking that goes in other more traditional cultures, right? arranged marriage is not a new concept. It's just not a common concept in our culture. So this is kind of like arranged marriage, except it's not your parents arranging you. It's matchmakers and clinics, you know?
Well, I just kind of find it fascinating, and I'm curious your perspective as someone obviously who works with couples. You're an expert in this field, but I'm sure you've noticed, that what we've noticed just following relationships on a more casual, like kind of podcasty type of approach, is that people just can't, like, they don't know how to lock in. They don't know how to commit. Everyone, it's paralysis of choice out there in terms of like dating,
Totally.
all these like labels of like, we're exclusive, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. It's just all very confusing. You watch Love Island, you're just like, how do you ever get into a committed relationship? What I've learned having some relationships and the one I have with Natalie, at the end of the day, especially when it comes to marriage, it's just like, you either both decide to make it work or you don't.
That's it.
I think obviously that's an overly simplified thing to say, but there is so much truth. You just like you either decide you're in this thing and you're just gonna you're gonna do what it takes to make it work, and then obviously it requires reciprocity from your partner. You can't just be one person deciding to do that while the other person's like, we'll see, which I'm sure happens in a lot of relationships. But you watch this and you're like, if two people are just like, fuck it, I'm committed to this thing,
They have a fighting shot.
yeah.
Listen, I've worked with couples for almost 21 years now, and you're hitting the nail on the head. I actually don't think you're oversimplifying it. It really requires work. Like, my skin crawls when people come in and they're like, we knew it was over when it stopped being easy. And I'm like, what do you have? What do you value in your life that comes easy? Like, for real.
Literally.
True.
Really, like your cute body, your nice car, your degree, your podcast, like anything you value. Look, your daughter and her behavior, anything you value requires thought, work, intentionality. Great relationship, great sex too, but great relationships are no different. And so I think we've gotten into such like if it doesn't feel good in the moment, let's keep it moving. And so you're 100% right. That decision to be like, I'm going to dig in and commit is one of the critical features. I mean, listen, you got to have the attraction. There has to be compatibility, but that willingness to not just cut and run at the first little bit of either a downturn or an attraction plateau, that's the ticket.
I'm curious, when with the matchmaking aspect of this show, what are some of the things that like compatibility, physical attraction, some of these things that like, anyone who's dating is like, that's what, that's kind of the things that we're looking for early on a date. Which ones are more of the relation, of the vibe killers with these couples?
Yeah. Okay, let me come at it this way. I'm going to give you like a long winding answer. It's a really more intensive process than I think people realize, because at high level, we all say the same shit. Watch this. I want trust. I want to be attracted to someone. I want someone that's fit. I want someone that I can travel with or watch a sunset, right? We all have sort of the same like headlines. You really have to peel back. And this is, I think, the critical thing. What that means for you, right? Like, get into the specifics, because I don't think the headlines mean much. I think we really need to find out, like, what does it mean for you? How do you want to live your life next to someone? Do you like them? So we're looking for compatibility, but not compatibility on those sort of, I want to be, we all want to be attractive. I want to laugh. I want to laugh too. What makes you laugh, right? It's that. Everyone says, I want to laugh. I want to have a good time. I hate roller coasters. If you love roller coasters, we both say we want a good time. We're not going to have the same good time, right? So really peeling back, like, what does life look like for you, and how do you want to live this life with someone? I think is one of the things I'm always looking for. And actually what research shows is really a great predictor of relational satisfaction.
I think I understand what you're saying, and I've ever since I met my wife kind of been echoing this, which is like, my relationship with Natalie is like the first relationship I had where I never felt like we were competing with things, and making simple decisions on a daily basis was simple. Like, what do we want to eat for dinner? Like, what do we want to do for fun?
Right.
Like, what shows or movies we want to watch? And and that was something early in my relationship life I took for granted, because I was like, no, I don't have to worry about that stuff, because love is enough. And that was like some kind of high level spiritual like thing that I thought. And then, and it turns out it's not, because you're like, after day 4 of negotiating lunch, you're just like, you know what? Eat whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit.
I agree.
And I hate you.
I hate you. I think you said something that I echo so deeply, and most people are like heartbroken when I say love is not enough. And the way I talk about it with people is think about family members. We have family members that we love, that you would die for, you would do a lot for, but that you don't actually want to be in the same room with for longer than 10 minutes.
Oh my God,
right?
Totally.
I would never have dinner with some of my siblings alone.
That. And yet
I'm not going to say who. I love you all.
right. But actually wanting to move through life with them for longer than 10 or 20 minutes, no. So we rest on this very romanticized idea of like, do they make me laugh or whatever the headline is, and will love be enough? No, you have to like them. I'm always looking for likability. And in matchmaking, that's one of the things, is their likability factor. Because love comes also with time. Listen, I've seen many, many couples in my practice who have family and they end up divorced and blah, blah, blah. They still love each other. They wish well for each other, but they no longer like each other, which is no longer a good match. So it's that likability, that compatibility, that do you have the same metrics of how you want to move through life?
I couldn't agree more, because I always say that, where I was like, I think that I've been in a relationship for 9 years. And I'm like, the biggest thing is that liking each other. Because I was like, I can love somebody and hate them at the same time. But I'm like, when we love each other and we like each other, we're the best of friends. But like when you're pissing me off or whatever, it's like that love is still there. But I'm like, it's just so important to hold on to that best friend factor in a relationship.
Totally. So that's one of the things I'm always looking for. Exactly what you just said, that likability, that compatibility, because the love is a steady, hopefully, but it's not actually the savior that people think it is. So it's that, do I like you? Do I want to hang with you?
Dr. Lisa, I'm curious. This is a TV show, and so I'm just curious when you guys are casting it, and not because I know how much actual casting you're doing.
Yeah.
I guess more just like, what is a common theme with all the people who show up willing to do this? Are there kind of character traits that you notice, or is it a wide spectrum of the type of people who are willing to be like, yeah, no, I will marry whoever you tell me to?
No. This is a great question. It is a massive spectrum. I think what people don't realize is we go through hundreds of human beings that are looking for love. So it is like a very, very comprehensive dive. And not just people that are like, well, I want to be on TV, so I'll do what you want, right? No. And one of the things that I have been so joyfully surprised at, and seems to be a common thread with everyone that is coming on, is that there are all these like really smart, beautiful, good people who are saying a similar thing, which is like, I'm just hitting a wall. I figured I'd try something crazy. Or I'm just hitting a wall. I figured I'd give it a go to do something different. I was always the black sheep in my family. I'm going to do something outside of the box. Like, but the common thread, truthfully, is that they're all like, I want love, and it's not working. The apps aren't working. Everyone wants to be like, oh, I want to be introduced by a friend. Yeah, but everyone's friend group is only so big, right? So the concentric circles are only so big, and they hit a wall there. And then the apps are only so appy, and so they hit a wall there. And they're like, I really am looking for something. That's been one of the common threads, is that like true, genuine desire to see, does something wild and crazy actually pan out if I rely on experts? Because what I've been doing so far has not worked. I mean, they're there because it's what they're doing in the wild isn't working,
Yeah. So the theme is desperation and frustration.
I'm coming up close on it, guys.
Yeah. I like that we have the two chairs that are nice. And then
Wait, I want to touch on that because I totally see how that can be a thought. I'm going to come in and it's going to sound like a little fuzzy, but I actually think the theme is hope. Like they believe in it.
I'm a cynic, but
yeah, sure, but they believe in it. I mean, they believe in love. I don't think it's that they're desperate. I think they're like, let's give it I still fucking believe that someone's out there for me.
Well, also maybe you could even argue that there's a little bit of, I'll call it humility or just, but I think what it is I think there's an acknowledgement that we've all kind of gotten fucked up a little bit, and our pickers are so off, and the things that, like, an acknowledgement of like, honestly, the stuff I've learned about relationships online or on podcasts,
right,
or the apps is like, it's like there's so much advice out there. You don't even know what to discern or what to take, and by the time you get in a relationship, we're all just kind of messed up, and we're a little like
jaded,
and it's just like a mess. And so you're like, putting ourselves in the hands of people like you. It's like, what I have is I want to make a marriage work. And if you have that, and I can trust someone to have my best interest in mind, maybe I have a better shot than like what I've been doing for myself lately.
You said something earlier when we first started talking about decision fatigue. And I think that you're like dovetailing into it, which is there's also something about being like, I am exhausted. Do it for me. Like, by the way, if you've ever looked into how much it costs to employ a matchmaker, it is
so much
tens
money.
of thousands of dollars, right? So I think also there's an opportunity here that's like, wait, someone is going to deep dive into getting to know everything about me, everything I'm looking for, everything that I've been through, and then try and find compatibility, likability, etc. And I don't have to decide like it's done for me. I think there's something attractive or appealing about that process too. For that reason you said earlier, that like how many filters and boxes can people check on an app and how many little one-liners that make you sound, interesting and witty, that they're just like, you do it for me. I think it sounds great for a lot of people.
I have a question about what I feel like might be one of the hardest parts for you guys and maybe the people who are signing up for this as well, or just in general. Like if I were to let somebody match make truly something like that for me, how can you possibly know how somebody actually handles conflict? That to me is like the biggest thing, because I'm like, yeah, sure. We get along great. We have all these compatibilities. But if somebody's like a total dick in my first big fight, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm not trying to deal with this. Like, I do not like the way people handle conflict is so important to me. But it takes a couple months to see how that really looks.
Yep.
But you guys can't possibly know, because I'm sure people come in and they're like, I'm very communicative. I try to validate, and like all the therapy talk that we've all learned.
Sure.
But then when you have to practice it, I mean, I feel like we've already started seeing it on the show. I'm like, oh my gosh, like these people know the right thing to say, but I'm starting to see a little bit of that,
Listen, we all know the right thing to say until we're triggered. You're asking a great question. So I want to speak to like the goal of the matchmaking, but also the conflict piece. You assess for conflict style, right? And it's a deep dive into some people are conflict avoidant, some people, and interestingly, research shows that it's okay to fight or disagree in a relationship so long as you have similar styles. So we're always assessing for, like, I would never put a high conflict avoidant person with a high conflict person who loves it, right? We know that that is not going to be healthy. But so it's compatibility of conflict style and conflict resolution style. Do you get a guarantee that once someone is totally triggered that we're the best version of our conflict style? I'm not. Have you ever gotten in a fight with your significant, right? Like best version of ourselves go out the window. So we can't control all the way. But here's the thing. I don't actually look to make the perfect, like, oh my God, I'm guaranteeing that they are going to love well, fight well, like well.
Yeah.
Are they going to have the best opportunity, right? We're looking for like similar to you give for Nick, who's the dad, right? You give your kid every opportunity in the world. You don't get a guarantee that they're going to be like killer successes. You're going to lay out everything you can for them to say, like, I'm going to set you up with every tool, every opportunity, everything that seems like a good fit for you, and hope you can do it in the world. And so, like, that's sort of how I go into the matchmaking process, right? Is like, we will deep dive into every facet of your style, your attraction style, your intimacy style, your conflict resolution, your family of origin, how you want to move through life. And then there's the pieces that are like, and then it's up to them, right? So we get them as close as we can. And to your point, there's the X factor that I'm not even trying to account for. That's the piece that makes this human, right? Is that like, they're not robots.
You're saying so much. I feel like I could talk with you for hours about this stuff, especially the conflict kind of spectrum. Anyways, I want to ask you a couple questions about specifically your cast, Adam and Nick.
Yeah.
Adam, I find interesting because Adam comes across as this like, he's intense, like, and very rigid, and like in some ways I could see, I guess with all these people, you always see parts of yourself in them, but like he is,
yes,
I could see how he could be very, he likes what he likes, and he's very like, and with someone like that who has a very specific personality and very intense personality, how do you go about matching someone like Adam? Because I imagine that like it, kind of to Susie's point, I'm not even specific about how he might fight, but it's all good, and as long as Adam feels like it's going Adam's way, because like he just strikes me as a guy who's like kind of been very successfully independent and like been able to do his thing, like so many, I think like 30 somethings out there who are single And you realize, I was single for a long time in my 30s, and I at least was grateful I had the self-awareness been like, I must be getting really selfish because I've only answered to myself for the past 8 years. And I'm curious, someone like him, is there more, if someone who has a very like successful, very rigid lifestyle, are they harder to match? And then Nick, I'm curious, this is the person who also went on a bunch of reality TV shows. What was your just general opinion about matching him, and were you nervous about his kind of genuineness about coming on the show?
Yeah, who do you want first?
Let's start with Adam.
Adam is rigid. Adam is a person who is in pursuit of excellence, though, right? And that's just the truth. And I recognize that Reed's is rigid, and he is rigid, but he's rigid because he strives for excellence. And so, I mean, that's first and foremost. And I think that, listen, if you're going to match people, you gotta love them, right? You gotta be able to get behind them for who they are at their best and not be like, oh, this is this person's massive flaw, right? I don't actually see Adam's rigidness as his flaw. I do think it's a pursuit of excellence. With someone like Adam, someone who is equally as stern as him, I think you would see a clash of heads. I think with someone like Adam, you're looking for who is also excellent in their own right, but who has just enough softness and fluidity that, you don't have two pieces of steel that won't bend, right? And so again, do you get a guarantee of what that means? I don't know, but I look for where there's going to be something that looks like this, right? We are both excellent in our own right. But one might be able to bend. Imagine two people that live so loud on 10. It's Clash of Titans, What are all the sayings? You can't have too many cooks in the kitchen type of thing. So, but Adam is excellent. He pursues and he holds himself to that, and he demands people around him to raise up, So that, to your point, when you said you see yourself in him, I think we all see traits of ourselves in these people. And you either are like, that's awesome, or you're put off by it. But
well, you just I think as you get older, you just recognize some of your more intense parts of your personality, and you realize it's a strength and a weakness. It depends on who you're in the room with.
And you know what I always say is, I think the goal is never to shut it off. Like, we're cooked. We are who we are, right? The cake is big. It's raising or lowering the volume, right? So can we find people that help us sort of raise the volume on the parts of ourselves that are awesome and lower the volume on the parts of ourselves that are not, right? Like, I'm always going to be a neurotic person. I'm less neurotic when my husband's in the room, right? He makes me a little better. I'm never not going to be that, though,
I love that. And what about Nick?
It's funny you said, was I nervous to match him? No, Nick is a great guy. I don't know. Would I be nervous to match a gynecologist because he looks at vaginas all day and someone might be intimidated? No, you know what I mean? Like, these are the people they are. They're real people, and if that's his history, then that's what we're working with, right? No, not at all. I really, like I said, to do it and do it well and put your heart into it and to feel like these people are trusting you. I wasn't coming from a cynical lens of like, oh, what you can't and do a good job, So no, that's his story. That's his history. He had been on reality TV shows. Okay.
That's awesome. Dr. Lisa, thank you for taking the time. I know you have to get going. You have to come back. We have more questions.
I would love to come back. You guys are great. In the meantime, you know what we didn't talk about too? I'm in you have an age split in your marriage too.
Well, that was my last question is, your husband's 20 years older than you. So, and my wife is 18 years younger than me. How long have you guys been married for?
20. We've been together 24 years, married. It'll be 20 this April.
So as your husband, I have so many questions, but my biggest question is like, as he's gotten older, how have you guys kept the fire alive? Because like, I'm more afraid than my wife. Like, I'm just more like, at some point, am I just going to be fucking old to her? Because like now, you can't tell if I'm old, but like at some point.
Oh. I mean, yes, you're going to be older. Listen, if we thread the needle of this conversation all the way through, it's choice and intentionality, right? Like, that's it. He's also he's older and he's hot. And he's hot,
He's hot? Okay.
And he makes it nice. I think he does. He makes it nice.
Does he have like an age expert? Does he do any of the age, like, does he have like a guy?
He's in excellent shape. I mean, he takes great care of himself and he's young at heart. I mean, right? Like all the things that you're going to be. He's energetic and he's dialed in and all the things. But people grow together or they grow apart. Age is one metric. It could be someone who like takes off in their career and then the housewife that stays home. Those couples grow apart even if they're the same age, right? Potentially, not always. So that's going to be the thing that you'll have to take care of in your marriage, right? Is that you guys stay relevant to each other. This could show up in a million different ways if you were the same age. I know, we're off on a different tangent. I could talk about this for years.
Thank you so much. This is so much fun.
Oh my God, you all are great.
Please come back. We appreciate you taking the time. We know you have to get going. Congrats on Married at First Sight. Such a fun show.
Thank you.
We'll continue to talk about it. And again, really appreciate you taking the time, Dr. Lisa.
Thank you. Good luck with the girls. And it was so nice to meet everyone on the couch. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Nice to meet
All right,
you.
bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
She's fab.
She's so
Fab.
interesting.
Loved her.
I liked her a lot.
I'm like, wait, where is she based out of?
Yeah.
Like, can I get a
Miami.
contact number?
Miami? Hey,
Can we do long
Miami.
distance therapy?
I might
Right.
lie and switch back my residency.
The only thing I
before.
we didn't have time to ask her because I am curious about like the pairing of Nikki and Sean.
I was thinking that too because I was like, that was the only question that I had in my mind is the idea of like
Like, were you?
when you see the reaction.
Was that like a TV casting thing?
Well, I was just wondering if it was more so like because seeing her reaction to seeing him, and you see all these great reactions of like, okay, this is going to be my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, is there ever like a little ping of just like, dang, or like, is it like you just wait and let it simmer? Like, you know something they don't know when they meet each other kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I assume if we got a chance to ask her, there would have been a method to her madness of
Right.
pairing them.
Mhm.
But Nikki just seems like someone who, good for her, and it would be the same for me, physical attraction matters.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I feel like a handful of questions about that physical attraction would have they could have eliminated Sean. You know, it's just like he's a,
I'm
you know what I mean? Like,
I'm curious if
He's a type.
she's more.
he's a type.
If she's more optimistic, I find this in myself sometimes where I'm like, I really don't care so much about looks, and I like think that I don't, but then sometimes I'm like, oh, I guess I do a little, you know. Where I feel like if somebody were asking me for matchmaking, I'm like, I would be super open minded if everything else was there, and I do believe that. But I wonder if that's how she went into her conversations. Like, I'm ambitious. I want somebody who makes this much money. Like, these are my top priorities.
She
and
talked about that more.
Yeah,
And
like
not
I
so much about
wonder.
physical.
I also wonder.
I wonder if that's what did it.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a world, and I wish we could have asked her this, of like, if there are certain things that you value, like let's say maybe there was information about Sean and Nikki that like were just so compatible and so perfect for each other that they saw that they were like, just let him cook because I think that'll, you know what I mean? Like maybe it just like outweighed
Well, he's
on the metric scale.
He's got a spicy personality.
Yeah.
He's
He
got
does.
a great deal of confidence.
Charisma.
Charisma. He's got the
one
riz.
could
He
say.
he reminds me of one of my best friends.
Uh-huh.
He's now married with kids, but when I met him, it was like during my reality TV days. He's shorter. He's very just like unassuming, and he's also from the South, and he has a drawl. A
Mhm.
lot of women, when meeting him, thought he might be gay.
Mm-hmm.
And he just like, but he just has the most confidence, and he's one of the most charismatic people I've ever met. And the way he would pull women
Mm-hmm.
was incredible.
Yeah.
And the Sean reminds me of this guy where you at first glance at a party, like he was so self-aware because he knew that like when he would show up, people like he wouldn't like be checked out in a way, say another guy would. And he knew that he knew he was like a safe space. Like, and
Walls go down.
it's like, oh,
he
this-
comes
yeah.
in.
Like, it's like, next thing you know, she's making out with a girl on the dance floor. And she's
For
like, wait, I
sure.
thought you were gay. He's like, no, you know?
No, and I'm taking you home tonight.
Yeah. And,
Just because
yeah.
he's a shorter guy, he had like just kind of, just his mannerisms were like more just a little,
Fruity.
flamboyant. And he just, that's who he is, you know? And he didn't check himself, and he just was comfortable in his skin. And that ultimately is this very charismatic guy. But
That's hot.
yeah, it's
Like,
and I
when a
imagine
guy-
that's why like I
Yeah.
see a lot of Sean and him where it's just like I am who I am, and you may
Yeah.
think a lot of me, but what I am at the end of the day is like kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor. I'm super fair and charismatic, and
Right.
like and Sean seems like a guy who's knows what it's like to be overlooked.
Yeah.
Or and I
Not
think he's
chosen.
proved a lot of people wrong throughout his life.
Mm.
And so that's why I don't think Sean is even uncomfortable in the situation with Nikki. Because I think he's spent his whole life proving people wrong.
He knows he can
But
pull.
I will say, I will say he seemed a little shocked when she was like, oh, I need the physical side to build. And he was like, oh, this is the first time I'm hearing that you weren't immediately attracted to me. And she was like,
Did you not see that, Sean?
yeah, right. That's why I was kind of like, oh, I'm surprised he didn't like pick up on that and that he had to verbally hear that. Because even similar to Love is Blind, a lot of the people say when you first meet that person, you aren't attracted to them. They're like, and it's not even that they aren't attractive. It's just that it's the first time seeing somebody, and attraction usually builds with time and understanding someone's mannerisms, and like that kind of comes naturally. It's just more jarring.
I couldn't like the whole, whether it's the Love is Blind reveal.
Yeah.
Or this one where it's like your wedding day. Just to your point, just how your brain can't process all the things that you're trying to like. First of all, how they look, they dress, their smell, their voice.
Yeah.
It's all just got to be so
The little twitch they
fucking
do.
intense.
Like,
we're just like,
yeah.
No, I think Love is Blind might actually be harder to wrap my brain around
Me
because
too.
then you've had all these conversations with
Someone's
somebody and started
voice.
to like make up what this person looks like. So then it's like if it's the polar opposite,
Yeah.
it's like I have to get over that
Yeah.
shock and mourn of somebody I've never met. Where I'm like, at least Married at First Sight, it's like, all right, here's a couple things about their personality as a gift. It either touches you or it doesn't. And then
Yeah.
it's like, this is
the
it.
person.
but this cast is hot.
Oh yeah.
Compared to-
Beautiful people.
I was going to say, like, everybody has like legitimate jobs too.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like that was my first takeaway is like, the show premise without watching it, you're just like, all right, we like to make fun of our country. People like to make fun of the people in this country. It's a thing.
Americans.
There's a lot of people in this country, and if you want to feel better about yourself, you can pull from your, and try to make fun of people in America.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
you would think this premise it would pull from the depths of
The
America
gimmicky.
that you like to make fun of.
Yeah.
Wherever
You know
that is.
what? Arranged marriages, I'm pretty sure every other country has a long stand. Like,
But for like
It's
us to make
long-standing
a
history.
show concept around it, like I totally agree.
oh
that
yeah,
it's
it's
just
most
like,
American.
I couldn't get into it at first just because I was like, I don't know, the premise is so
It sounds like
ridiculous.
It feels like a premise that didn't.
But I
start.
don't think it
Can
is.
someone look up where
I-
Married at First Sight started?
I
Because
think-
it feels British.
I think this is the future.
No, I'm like, but I was a slow burn with the show. And as I'm watching it, the more so I'm kind of like believing what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
It's giving me like
That's
a
what
90
I'm
Day Fiance
saying.
feel.
You just,
I
mean, honestly, you just gotta pick someone.
It originated in Denmark, by the way.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
It sounded like something like someone
European.
Swedish and European would come. Not Denmark. Whatever.
I went-
Blondes.
I
I
went
can
out
say
on
that
a
again.
date with a guy from a matchmaking service. He hired the matchmaker, and I was approached on Instagram, took the call, and I was like, I'm open-minded to this. But I think what I realized is that the matchmaker in this case was looking out for the guy. You know what I mean? She was like, you're like, yeah, you fit all his boxes. And sure, like I did an interview and like my non-negotiables were technically there or whatever. But I'm like, when it's matchmaking one-sided, they're prioritizing their client rather than
You weren't the
Both.
paying client.
No. I was like recruited to go on a date with somebody who was a paying
They were like,
client.
hey, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was
But
this a TV show or a legitimate matchmaking?
just legitimate matchmaking. I like went on a date with this guy.
I imagine that's how like the industry works, right? You have
Yeah.
people, and they have to find you. Have to. You know,
Source-
Basically, like hiring
people.
a job recruiter.
yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
so sad.
But then
Is
you have
that not
to
like?
you have to find a pool of people to be like.
But you would think it would be like an agency or something that you would submit, being like, if
I'm
you
open.
find somebody to match me with, and I happen to
Well,
still
how do
be
you get that
single.
pool, right? I mean, ideally, it's an imperfect system.
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd probably imagine want someone as dedicated and passionate and willing to spend the thousands of dollars it takes, but that it would incredibly limit your pool. And if the matchmaking service can pull on friends or the internet or whatever, and then they say they do their due diligence or whatever.
Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, it makes sense that like they were probably like, oh,
a catch.
she's attractive. She seems nice. Like, what's not to like?
She's got
All
a
right,
career. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is it not like? Maybe I'm wrong. Is it not like sad? I don't like. There's like a lack of romance. It seems in dating now, and it's just
Mhm.
like
What do you mean? Of course.
Like the
but-
matchmaking aspect of it.
not even the matchmaking aspect, just like everything, like all these conversations we have and everyone has. It's just like we're trying to figure it out, and we're trying to like.
I would, you know
I
what?
don't,
Hot
like-
take. I mean, I think there's too much romance.
What?
Hear me out. in the sense, if I'm pulling from the premise,
Good for you, Natalie.
Yeah.
I don't mean
be nice.
I don't mean like I don't mean I
What's
give my
that
wife too
like?
many flowers. I mean we're hyper obsessed with the romance aspect of relationships so much, and again, I think
I see.
when it comes to dating, like we're just
That's not really what I'm asking.
well, it was what you made me think about. Anyway, I just think like think about it's just like there's just the dating has become just like a sport, you know?
That's
like
what I
you just
mean.
like you have to engage.
But it's like we're focusing on like batting averages almost
That's what I was
versus
gonna
like
say.
actual connection.
I think the dating
that's
apps
what's sad.
ruined
Yeah.
romance in general.
I don't know how to date somebody. You know
I
what
just
I mean?
like you
I don't
have
know-
to. I think people are. I guess to answer your, I meant like people are hyper focused on. I mean, you want romance in a relationship, but I really mean it. Like when like you watch like being in a marriage, and again, I'm a relatively new relationship, but I'm just saying like, and then you've been in a relationship for a long time. Like again, you have to wake up and be like, I want to be in this relationship,
Yeah,
and then
every
you
day.
just have to do things every day where you're like, I would if I were alone, I would do it differently.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And every day there's a million decisions that is required to, and then you have to put a good face on, and you have to have a good attitude, and then you have to be like, you know what? I'm going to actually try to like, and then there's days where you like, you still don't want to do it, you know, and then you know, like that's a relationship, and it requires a million decisions like that every day. And I think that's the part of relationships that is lost on people who are dating these days. And it was lost on me and when I was single for a long time, because we're just hyper focused on, it's like now dating is, I'm going to go to therapy and I'm going to do this work on myself. I'm going to learn about my attachment style, and I'm going to learn about all the things I like. And then I have to find someone who like fits all these like fucking boxes and does all these things. And like none of that really matters, and unless you have to find someone who's like, are you gonna like?
Do you like me?
Not even do you like? Well, sure, the like part is aspect, but like, are you gonna quit on me? Are you gonna like? Or do you want to be in a relationship? Like, you know what I'm saying? Do you want to be in
Oh
a
my
marriage?
gosh.
Like, do you want to know me? Do you want me to be a part of your everyday, or do you like the idea of having somebody by your side? But like until the second that it's not perfect,
And I
the
think
second that
dating
it's
has become
hard,
too much of finding this like
twin flame soulmate,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
perfect match, and it's like
versus
nothing
finding
is
someone
like
who
that.
wants to be in a relationship and wants to like figure it the fuck out with you every day.
Yes.
That to me has been what is most frustrating. Like I was just having this conversation with one of my girlfriends recently where it's like there is truly somebody for everybody. There are women that don't really want or need a serious relationship label. They just want to have a little fun, whatever. But so I personally have found so many guys say they want a relationship, and I don't know if they actually believe that they do or if they're just saying that to get you to date them for a little bit. But it's like, you don't have to lie to me, because I would maybe be down to go out and have a little fun for a couple of weeks until somebody who is ready for a relationship. But when you tell somebody like, I really am looking for X, Y, and Z, I want a relationship, but they actually don't. They're not
don't know
ready
what
to.
they want.
They're not ready to
I'm
hang up the
curious.
cleats.
Nobody knows
What are-
I just don't think anybody actually knows what they want at an early stage of dating, and I don't get why that's just not okay to say sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, be honest.
And it's okay to like. The other thing is, I'm like, it's
yeah,
okay
but
to
I
be
think
like,
there's not knowing what you want, and I think there's a difference between your point. I think
Like
correct me if I'm wrong.
lying
I'm assuming
about-
you're dating men old enough to should know the difference of they want to make it work in a relationship, or they just want to like, I don't know, like
have a few fun
go on
weeks.
a couple dates and maybe have some sex,
Yeah.
and we'll see, and we'll see.
Yeah,
You know,
we'll see.
and I'm curious is like, what does that relationship cycle look like for you? Like, what are some things that you notice in the men that you've dated who ultimately demonstrate that like they're not looking for what they claim they're looking for?
You know, it's funny because I feel like you always kind of clock it at the beginning. There's something. There's like, whether it's how they speak about their past relationship, or even watching this show, how some people are just like over therapized, where they like have these words, and I'm like, you have this cognitive ability to understand and recognize things, but you've obviously not been able to make it work. But you know the right things to say, and it's almost, I feel like you can kind of clock it at the beginning, but you want to see it through, and you're like, okay, well, I mean, he didn't say anything wrong, But it's like this, I feel like there's this intuition where I have learned I just need to like listen to that, because it's like, even if they're saying the right things, it's different for everybody, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like,
Do you feel like when you're dating, you've had opportunities show up kind of organically where you both have to, or specific in your case, the men have to show a willingness to compromise? Like, or do something that, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like,
I think that
he's doing this because I want to do this and I feel that. And like, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to, you know,
that's been, I am so like, I'm so flexible. Like, I'm like, I'll do whatever. Like, for the most part, I'm like, I'm down for whatever. But when I have a say, it is really hurtful to me when I'm with somebody and I'm like, oh no, I actually really want sushi tonight. I'm like, it's so rare that I like really want something passionately, that when somebody won't have flexibility, it like is truly hurtful to me, because I'm like, I will give you whatever you want 5-6 days of the week. If I want sushi one night, like, I would love for you to want me to have what I want too. But I find that people who are rigid are attracted to me because I am very flexible and fluid like that. So I find myself in situations a lot because I am pretty go with the flow, and I'm like, well, I don't care. Like, I enjoy most things. I'm pretty laid back, whatever. But then I find myself in these situations, but I find it like irks me. I'm like, I want somebody to be selfless. I want somebody who wants me to have what I want. But I find myself so often, and maybe I'm attracted to that too. Like, I don't know if that's something on my end.
I get that as someone that's like a chiller.
Yeah, I'm chilling.
I feel like we're pretty, like
but chiller or
but
rigid or whatever.
I think it's like sometimes like I want somebody that's gonna be like, no, you're gonna do that, and sometimes I'm like, okay.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
I love a leader. I love like
but then I think there's a mutual. There's also a mutuality.
Sure.
Yeah, you got to be able to switch it up.
But it takes a minute to. I think for me, it takes a minute to get to the point in a relationship where I'm actually like, I'll be chilling for a long time, but then I'm like, hey, like, I actually want this, and when it takes a minute to realize, oh, you don't reciprocate the respect or the, what was the way you said it, like the compromise. People don't want to always compromise back, and I'm like, that fucking sucks.
I think the thing and I'm curious, I'm assuming you've experienced in your relationship with Connor, but like, there's obviously Natalie and I have a lot of differences, and there's things that like I'm just particular about. There's things that I'm more particular, period, than she is.
Yeah.
But she has her preferences or whatever, and you know, we show up in so many different ways. But it's just knowing that, like, I know that Natalie is willing to do things for me and for us now, and like, we're willing to do different things, but there is a desire to make each other happy, or there's just a desire to make the other person feel good, or when the other person is stressed or down or whatever, there is you feel that, are you okay? You know, that in a way that like I think a lot of people right?
I've struggled to find that.
And that's the thing. It's like this kind of it's not it's just that feeling, you just know they give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's kind of scary because I'm thinking about what you were saying about these men kind of showing up with the right things to say, but then when it comes down to having to put it into action, that it's almost the polar opposite.
Yeah.
And it's giving this like pseudo self-awareness, because it's like I can talk about myself in a way, but when it actually comes to implementing it, then that's when I feel threatened, or it feels like you've changed or something, and that's when they get triggered or whatever.
Right.
And I think even to your point where I'm like, I feel like, especially with you and Natalie, but like, I think with, I think when I met Connor, like I was getting out of a long-term relationship, had been single for a few months, and was just kind of like, I don't want a relationship. So I showed up as the most authentic version of myself. Same with him.
Yeah.
So it's like, because we both kind of didn't think it was going to last as long as it did, to be completely honest. We were just like, okay, I'm meeting you where you're at. You're meeting me where I'm at. Where I'm like, I think a lot of people getting into dating situations, they try to put their best foot forward, whatever that means to them. And it's usually a mask. It's not real. And so I used to always say I give a relationship dating 3 months. About 3 months is when the mask starts to fall off. You can't keep the facade up anymore, and you start seeing the real versions of themselves. Get into a year. You're going to see even more unpack. And then by like 2-3 years, I think that's when it's like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with here. So I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like if people are showing up as their most authentic self, then it's very easy to ask for the things that you need. When you're trying to show up as a person that has it all together, that's perfect, that can go with any flow that you bring at me, because I don't like to cause conflict. I'm like, then you get yourself in these situations to where it's like you feel almost awkward or bad or guilty for like admitting the fact that you don't like something or you don't want to do something or you don't fuck with that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that's what gets a lot of people, or like why this whole like dating situation is so fucked, is because in like dating profiles, you're just putting a resume out there of all of your best features, best qualities, best pictures. I love dogs. I go fishing with my friends. I'm so active. I hike. I do all of these things where maybe throughout the week, that's not every day.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it's like this like act to have to keep up, where I just think that when you meet somebody where you're at and when they're willing to be authentic with you, that's where like the magic happens, in my opinion. I don't even know if I'm answering this question correctly. But I'm like, I do think that a lot of people put on an act to try to present themselves as this perfect person.
Yeah.
And then that's when it's like, oh, you don't want to do this anymore? Like, now I'm triggered. Now you're not the person you said you were. And it's like, okay, well, I can be that. I can do that, but that's not who I am.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I had a thought listening to you guys talk. The almost like, not the secret sauce, but like something you want to see early in a relationship. And I think is the willingness and ability to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I was just thinking about me and Natalie, and I wonder if where our age gap helped us, because I think we were. Well, I know I was. I think in our own right, we were aware of our age gap, and we are aware that like this might not work out, you know. And everyone told us about that. And I think as a result, early on, I think we were both willing to be like aware that things could pop up and aware of adjusting to each other. And that willingness to adjust, you know, not lose ourselves, not like become a different person, not like have the agency to speak up when I'm saying, you know, but just to be like, oh, okay, like I like it this way, I do it this way, but you do it this way. How do we adjust as a couple? And our ability to constantly adjust with each other and then become more of like a unit rather than two individuals, I think has been a key to our relationship. But I think a key to any relationship, that a willingness to like, adjust, you know, you all have your preferences, you have your likes and dislikes, but like, I don't know. And then when you see someone you're dating or in a relationship adjust for you, it just gives you such a, thanks.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like,
loved,
you know, and it's just like
and it makes you want to do it more for them, to be honest. Yeah.
And then there's that, and then you build that reciprocity that like, you know, when you, because you can talk a big game early on and you can do all these things, but if you're not willing to show that you can tweak how you show up in situations or a personality trait or whatever for the relationship, you know, then what do you got?
I think that compromise is what makes mutual respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I'm like, if you're willing to bend for me or show up for me in ways that maybe even make you uncomfortable and vice versa, then it's like, okay, I know that no matter what, and that's when your partner does become your best friend. Is because it's like, that relationship is like, no matter what goes on in my life, like you've got my back and you know how I'm feeling. Nothing's better than being in a relationship with somebody where they can see you from across the table, see you're uncomfortable or struggling, and be the first person to be like, hey, you good? Or like, should we go? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like that person knows you and they took the time to understand you, where I feel like a lot of people are very about me and my needs being met, that they don't have the time or the ability to open up and be like, what are your needs and how can I cater to that?
And I think the problem with that is that that's a lot of modern, it's what you see online. And it's also like, I started going to therapy like a couple months ago. And I kind of felt like not bad about it. Like I feel like I'm so happy I started doing it, blah, blah, blah. And like I've been figuring a lot of things out about myself. But
like that first time this is like the first time you've
done
therapy?
No. But the first time I've like stuck with it for a long time, because I had another therapist I didn't like. Anyway. Yeah, and I found myself just like in situations now, because I have a little bit more awareness of certain aspects of myself, prioritizing my own feelings. And I've been watching the way that in like romantic situations or in just real life, it's just I've watched the way that like almost like centering myself sometimes have like the way other people react to that. And it's not always great.
Yeah.
And I guess like, I don't know. I can't tell if that's just because I'm trusting my gut or if I'm being selfish. And I think that's a weird thing that like the internet and modern dating gets really confused. Like
so
I get
in a way,
really
like,
confused by.
like you're realizing like like I'm the problem type of thing?
Or you
I can't tell. No, it'll be like, oh, I figured out like, for example, part of my like, kind of like Susie was saying, like I have an issue where like I just want like I'm a Pisces
peace.
Mercury.
Yeah.
I just want peace. I want everyone to get along. I don't want to cause a big thing. Like if someone else is hurt, to me, that's like way more important than me.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, let me fix that. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's a little much. I don't need to do that. And maybe like if I'm actually like kind of hurt by something, I can say that.
Yeah.
Right. And then sometimes you start saying that and then people are like, okay.
Well, I think what
and like, or like in family or whatever, and you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
And in dating and stuff, I think that's like can be a really scary thing where I think because of the way the internet kind of therapy speak that you see on TikTok or whatever, you'll see that and you'll react to that and you'll be like, oh, I am supposed to be prioritizing myself. So now everybody is kind of doing that to each other, I guess. And then there's no real like communication
room for compromise.
Yeah.
or room for compromise. So that's what
we have
wonder.
learned the language, like
The non-negotiables have become like we're never going to
boundaries and
negotiate
everything.
yeah,
anything.
it's just like we've
Yeah.
just learned how to you center our feelings before others.
Yeah.
And then we've learned how to been like, well, I'm dating a anxious attack. And like we've learned how to diagnose our partners and learned how to prioritize
Not
our
how
feelings.
to like understand. You can diagnose somebody and then understand yourself.
Yeah. And I
But
think
that doesn't do anything.
No,
like,
well,
what the
because
fuck are you supposed to do with that? Like, I don't know.
I don't ever thought really that really worked. I mean, that's why it's just like, it's just like, I think the whole attachment style thing is interesting, but the way people
are going way too, it gives you an excuse for like acting a fool.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes I think.
Yeah, or to
Yeah.
write people off
Or,
for
yeah.
no reason.
Like,
Just,
oh my God, you're an
dismiss
anxious
people, yeah.
attachment. I don't know. Then maybe like,
Or make
like I'm an
excuses
anxious
for your partner
attachment,
who's
but
like,
I like
oh,
try to not do that.
They act this, that's how people make excuses for their partner sometimes. It's just like, well, they only do this because they're
Yeah.
right.
child. It's like, well, maybe so, but they haven't stopped doing it
Yeah.
in a while.
Yeah.
And like they haven't really done anything about it. And the diagnosis is the first part.
This is also two close friends of mine just went through like their first big adult breakups and talked to me about it all week.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, bro, I don't think love is real.
That was your feedback?
Not to them. Internally.
Hopefully
I don't
they're
know.
not
I don't
listening.
know. When like two of the people you have in your life that you're like, you made a relationship work, you're the single one, you're like, well,
It's hard out there, man.
tough
I
out
think
there
as
for
you
a pimp.
get older, and you kind of like said this, but also contradicted it, not actually, but you said earlier something about as you got older, you're like, oh, I realize how selfish I must be getting because you're getting really comfortable with your lifestyle alone. I think dating in my 30s and dating guys that are significantly older within, a 10-year range or whatever, it can go both ways. It's either that they recognize, oh, I need to let go of some things and be selfless and have what we were just talking about, this like willingness and desire to be flexible and compromise, or they become way too self-centered and they're like, I got a good thing going. You can either fit into this or, see you later, because somebody will, and surely somebody will fit into it. There will be somebody who is like, yeah, I'm down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it goes one way or the other. And I've found more so it's people get comfortable with their life alone and then they just want someone to fit into what that looks like.
I think that's pretty common.
Money doesn't buy, like that's the one thing. I've had the opportunity to date some really wealthy people and I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to just do what you want to do. I don't want to your money's not going to buy me my happiness.
You didn't want to be a trad wife. All right. Well, we will continue to watch and talk about Married at First Sight. We have we're halfway done with the episodes.
There's 20 episodes.
There's 20
Oh my
episodes. There's
gosh.
9 out. We'll continue to dissect and talk about these couples. Fascinating show. And then hopefully, when it's all said and done, we'll get a chance to talk to some of these couples. They are unavailable at the moment. I'm going to get through the season. But we are excited to keep watching, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you to our doctors. It's been a really relationship-focused theme. Dr. Pamela Baker and Dr. Lisa for joining us. And thank you for listening. We'll see you back on Thursday. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.